Chapter 4165. Little Lon, the three pavilions of the North Island set the rules for the duel to be fair. If you think it's unfair, you can refuse. Since Lin Yi dared to nod and agree, then this duel is fair to him. Even if he loses, even if he pays with his life, he can't use this as an excuse for failure, Shanghai Tianhua said slowly. I don't care about this. Su Zhaohe bullied little junior brother, that's wrong. Grandpa, you're bad. You must have a way, you just don't want to help me. Shanghai Laner stomped her feet, turned around, and left angrily. Looking at Shanghai Laner's back as she left, Shanghai Tianhua stroked his beard helplessly. If he really wanted to stop this duel, he could just say something casually. The reason why he didn't agree to Shanghai Laner's request was not because he didn't want to break the rules, but because he wanted to take the opportunity to see Lin Yi's potential. Su Zhaohe was a good whetstone for Lin Yi at this stage. If Lin Yi didn't even have this confidence and rashly accepted the duel, then he wasn't worthy of little Lon. In the Chamber of Commerce tea house in the North Island, Nantian Ba, Nantian Gate, and Kong Ming gathered together to welcome Si Haishao, who had just returned from Middle Island. In terms of seniority, the Nantian brothers sat at the top of the table closest to Si Haishao, followed by Murong Zhen and Zhong Pingliang. As for Kong Xiaoming, he could only sit at the very end. He was almost pushed to the door. It couldn't be helped. No matter how much Su Lingchong valued him, it was all in the past. This was Si Haishao's circle. Everything revolved around Si Haishao. He, Kong Xiaoming, hadn't made any contributions in Si Haishao's eyes. Oh, by the way, Kong Ming, I heard that you are the last disciple of Xianchen? Si Haishao noticed Kong Ming's unnatural expression and suddenly thought of ancestor Xianchen of Middle Island. That's right. Manager Si, how did you know? Kong Ming was stunned. Although the matters of the mortal world were not secrets, and there was nothing that could not be seen. Pinliang, who was present at the scene, knew all about it, but the kid wouldn't be so talkative as to secretly report this to Si Haishao, would he? It was completely worthless. So it really is such a coincidence. To tell you the truth, your master, Xianchen, is currently on the Middle Island. Furthermore, he has joined the center with my old friend, Nan Tian. He's on the same side. He even asked me to take care of you before he came back, Si Haishao said with a smile. Master is on Middle Island? He even joined the center? That's great. Kong Xiaoming was overjoyed. To be honest, with his selfish nature, normally, he would not care about how the ancestor of the Xianchen world was doing. However, when he suddenly heard about the ancestor of the Xianchen world's whereabouts, he was delighted. There was no other reason. Since the ancestor of the Xianchen world could follow a big shot like Nantian Aurora, it meant that he should be doing well now. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the face to ask Si Haishao. For Kong Ming, this was the sign of him finding a new backer. Although Si Haishao didn't say anything more for the time being, his attitude now made Kong Ming feel different. But it was already enough to make Xiaoming feel different. Even if his seat didn't change, Xiaoming's back was much straighter, and he had more confidence. At least when he looked at Murong Zhen and Pinliang, he was no longer as inferior as before. A while ago on Middle Island, your master, my old friend, Nan Tian, and a few others. We planned to have the Snow Sword faction deal with Lin Yi. We were about to succeed, but we didn't expect to fail at the last moment. It's such a pity just thinking about it. Si Haishao sighed, but then he became spirited again and said, luckily, Lin Yi asked for it himself and made countless enemies. I thought no one could deal with him, but I didn't expect Su Zhaohe to be waiting for him when he came back. With Su Zhaohe's strength, the arranged battle in 5 days will be Lin Yi's death. He brought this upon himself, ha. I've sparred with Su Zhaohe once. This person is indeed unfathomable. No one in the Foundation establishment stage is his match. Lin Yi has really kicked an iron plate this time. Nan Tianmen nodded in agreement. He had occupied the position of the first senior brother in charge of the Soaring Sky Pavilion for several years, so he was well aware of the strength of the disciples of the Soaring Sky Pavilion. He was the one who had the most right to speak about Su Zhaohe's strength. However, Lin Yi has always been strange. I think we should find a chance to warn Su Zhaohe. This time, it's Lin Yi who asked for it himself. It's a heaven-sent chance to kill him fair and square. Don't fail miserably, Kong Mingming reminded. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have the right to say this, and no one would take it to heart. However, this time, Si Haishao nodded. That's right. That kid does have some skills. In less than a month, he was able to gain a firm foothold in Middle Island, which is filled with experts, and make a name for himself. He's definitely not someone that can be underestimated. If Su Zhaohe underestimates him and doesn't put him in his eyes, there might really be a possibility of him failing miserably. Si Haishao agreed. Since Si Haishao had already said so, even if Nan Tianba and Southern Sky Gate didn't agree, they wouldn't say anything against it. They immediately went to find Su Zhaohe. Regarding the sudden visit of Si Haishao and his group, even Su Zhaohe, who claimed to be a prospective disciple of Shanghai Tianhua, took the initiative to greet them. After all, among them were Si Haishao, the manager of the North Island of the Chamber of Commerce, and Nan Tianba and Southern Sky Gate. For any disciple of the Soaring Sky Pavilion, their status was not light. Why have you come to find me? Su Zhaohe looked around at the crowd and slowly asked. 5 days from now, it will be the day of the battle between you and Lin Yi. We have come here specifically to warn you. Don't underestimate that kid just because he's a newcomer. Si Haishao sternly said. In one move, he killed Nan Tianyong, who was at the peak of the late Foundation establishment realm. Not long ago, he heavily injured a core disciple of the Snow Sword sect, Wei Shenjin, whose strength was at the early gold core stage. Although it was a sneak attack, you still can't let your guard down. Thank you for the reminder. However, even if you didn't advise me, I still wouldn't underestimate my opponent. Su Zhaohe smiled and lightly asked, That's right, that Lin Yi, I've heard rumors about him before. He's the #1 newcomer of your welcoming pavilion. I heard that you guys even gave him a nickname, Pretentious Leader. Chapter 4166. It doesn't matter. As long as you have the strength, it doesn't matter if you show off. Otherwise, you would be a real idiot. Do you know that when I was in the welcoming pavilion, I was also recognized as the #1 newcomer? Some people even called me the Pretentious Leader. As for seriously injuring an early-stage Golden Core Master, I did it too, but he did it from the back, while I faced him head-on. Su Zhaohe's words revealed an unconcealable pride. To be honest, he hadn't been in the Soaring Pavilion for a long time, and his experience was still shallow. It was precisely because of these outstanding achievements that he was crowned as a genius and received the attention of a top boss like Shanghai Tianhua. These were all the reasons he was proud of. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Si Haishao, the outsider, Kong Mingming, Murongzhen, and Zhong Pingliang were not elders of the 3 great pavilions. Naturally, they didn't know these old stories. Only the Nantian brothers, Nantian Ba and Nantian Gate, knew something about it. However, although he was shocked, Zhong Pingliang still didn't think much of it. Looking at Su Zhaohe's arrogant face, as if Boss Lin Yi was nothing compared to him, he didn't know that this was just a lie. Even if you, Su Zhaohe, really did beat up an early-stage Golden Core Master, that was after you joined the Soaring Pavilion, right? Boss Lin was still a newbie who hadn't been promoted yet. How could you compare? If his strength had already reached such an astonishing level when he was still in the welcoming pavilion, able to challenge an expert in the beginning stage of the Golden Elixir realm, then Shengguan Tianhua would probably have rushed to take him in. Why would he wait until now? And, you still don't know, right? Ha ha ha, actually. I have successfully formed my golden core and am an early-stage golden core master. Su Xiaohe laughed proudly. I have been hiding my strength and didn't reveal it to the public. I wanted to find a chance to show my strength and become a disciple of Pavilion Master Shengwan. That's great. Then the situation is really set this time. We've been worrying too much. Si Haishao and the others' eyes lit up, while Pinliang's expression changed. Things weren't looking good. From everyone's point of view, if Su Xiaohe was only at the foundation establishment great perfection, then with Lin Yi's devilishness, there might really be a possibility of failure. However, Su Xiaohe was now an early-stage golden core expert. No matter how heaven-defying Lin Yi was, it was impossible for him to be his opponent. What kind of person was Su Xiaohe? He was someone who could enter the eyes of Shanghai Tianhua. He was a genius disciple who could challenge those of a higher level than him. How could an ordinary expert of the same level compare to him? Lin Yi had really kicked an iron plate this time. He had sent himself up to be a stepping stone for others to acknowledge him as his master. He really couldn't stop himself from courting death. Si Haishao and the others immediately dispersed happily. On the other side, Shanghai Laner came out of Hualan residence with a gloomy expression and found the welcoming pavilion. Chapter 4167. What's the matter? Meng Tong looked at them coldly. Maybe it was a psychological effect, or maybe it was the truth, but his temperament had become even weirder than before. If the feeling he gave people before was that he was reborn, then after such a long time, it was as if his personality had started to change. Zhong Pingliang couldn't help but twitch when he saw this. He mumbled to himself. He heard from Su Lingchong a long time ago that this guy ate the Meridian Heart-Shattering Pill. Could it be that the Meridian Heart-Shattering Pill was really that terrifying? It could actually make such an unsophisticated idiot become so twisted, sending chills down one's spine? Not only him, but Kong Mingming and Murongzhen couldn't help but look at each other. Right now, they couldn't see through Meng Tong's strength at all. They only felt that this guy was unfathomable and extremely dangerous. It's nothing, actually. You should have heard the news that Lin Yi is going to fight Su Xiaohe, right? Kong Mingming calmed himself down. So what? Meng Tong's expression didn't change at all. The opponent is Su Xiaohe. Don't you think that Lin Yi is dead for sure this time? Kong Mingming said excitedly, we just got some insider news. Su Xiaohe's strength isn't what everyone thinks it is, but the early stage of golden core. This time, Lin Yi won't be able to survive even if he had 10 lives. Waha! Early stage of golden core? Meng Tong's expression changed slightly, but quickly returned to normal. No one could tell what he was thinking. So, this time, Lin Yi is dead for sure. At that time, the group of people gathered under him will definitely scatter. We have to prepare early and take over his fence-sitters. When there are people under him, we can be more confident in the future, Kong Mingming suggested with his eyes shining. That's right. This is the best chance to win people's hearts. Although they still have people like Ku Bai, Xiao Ran, and Xiao Hongkai on their side, Lin Yi is their backbone. Once he dies, people's hearts will definitely waver. This is a rare opportunity. Otherwise, if we wait until Ku Bai calms them down, it won't be easy for us to poach them, Murongzhen agreed. If you want to poach me, go ahead. I'm not interested. Meng Tong was still expressionless. He had experienced so many setbacks and tribulations. In particular, he was tortured by the Meridian Heart-Shattering Pill twice a day. His level was no longer something that Kong Mingming could compare with. Only people like Kong Mingming would never forget about those fence-sitters, treating them as tools to achieve their ambitions. But now, Meng Tong didn't care about them at all. Ugh! Kong Mingming froze. The reason why he invited Meng Tong was because of his influence among the Blue Cloud Pavilion's newcomers. Even if Lin Yi always stepped on him, he should still be a threat to the normal Blue Cloud Pavilion newcomers. But to the average Clear Cloud Pavilion's new disciples, it should still have some degree of deterrence. But in the end, this guy actually said he wasn't interested? If this was in the past, Kong Ming Ming would have scolded him a long time ago. But now, he couldn't see through Meng Tong at all. Even if he was dissatisfied, he could only hold it in for the time being. Why don't I give it a try? Pin Liang was the one who volunteered. I can try to get Li Jingming on our side. If I can get him to join us, I'll be able to get him to join us. I'm sure it'll be a great help to the other Blue Cloud Pavilion newcomers. That's true, but that Li Jingming is different from the other newcomers. He's a determined person. He's not that easy to convince. I've talked to him a few times already, but nothing worked. Murongzhen said bitterly. She had always been confident in her honey trap, but it didn't work on Lin Yi or Li Jingming. It was a huge blow to her. If it weren't for Si Haishao, she would have suspected that she'd become an old woman. That's probably because he's too wary of you. Since Pin Liang volunteered, why don't you give it a try? Who knows, there might be unexpected results. Kong Ming Ming nodded. But you don't have to rush to rope him in. You just need to get close to him and give him a hint. He's a smart man. I'm sure he'll know what to do when Lin Yi dies. I understand. Pin Liang smiled to himself and left the room. Volunteering to turn Li Jingming against him was, of course, just an excuse. The real purpose was to inform Lin Yi of Su Zhaohe's identity. Su Zhaohe was an early-stage Golden Core practitioner, and this was a huge hidden danger. If Lin Yi didn't know about this and started a war, he'd be at a huge disadvantage. At this critical moment, Lin Yi was the focus of all three pavilions. His every move was being watched. If Pin Liang wanted to inform him, he had to use this roundabout method. What are you doing here? Li Jingming was surprised that Pin Liang would come knocking on his door. He didn't know that Pin Liang was like him, a spy planted by Lin Yi. No way. Bro Li is a smart man. Can't you guess why I'm here? Pin Liang smiled. There's no point in talking. Please go back. Li Jingming's face darkened. He didn't mind going back to being a spy, but only if Lin Yi said so. Otherwise, he didn't want to have anything to do with these people. Instead of wasting time with them, he'd rather use it to train. Don't worry, Li bro, you know about the fight between Lin Yi and Su Zhaohe, right? If you think that your boss can win this time, I'll give you a secret so you can give up. Zhong Pingliang said mysteriously. What is it? Li Jingming glanced at him. Su Zhaohe isn't a complete foundation establishment like you think he is. He's a real early-phase Golden Core master. Isn't this news shocking? Pin Liang smiled mysteriously. He didn't wait for Li Jingming's reply and left. Early-phase Golden Core master? Li Jingming's heart skipped a beat. His admiration for Lin Yi was no less than anyone else's, but Lin Yi was still a newbie. Even facing Su Zhaohe, who was at the peak of foundation establishment, was already very difficult. If the opponent was really at the early stage of Golden Core, how could he fight? But, this Zhong Pingliang had never interacted with him before. Was he really just trying to convince him to surrender with this explosive piece of insider news? This kind of news should be top secret. It didn't make sense for him to know so easily. Was this person that simple? Although he was confused, Li Jingming went to find Lin Yi and told him the news. Chapter 4168. If what Zhong Pingliang said is true, boss, you really have to think about it carefully this time. A man knows when to yield and when not to. Boss, you're still a newcomer anyway. Li Jingming said hesitantly, implying that Lin Yi should take the initiative to admit defeat. In his opinion, Lin Yi had no chance of winning against Su Zhaohe, who was in the early phase of the Golden Core stage. It would be too stupid to fight to the end knowing that he was going to die. Hee, it's okay, I already know this. Lin Yi smiled faintly. This was not a boast, but a fact. The strength that Su Xiaohe had shown on the surface was only at the level of foundation completion, and Lin Yi had been tricked at first glance, but even if Su Xiaohe could fool everyone's eyes, he wouldn't be able to fool his golden finger. After coming to Heavenly Island, although there was no way to directly see the strength of a higher level, he could easily see through opponents of the same level or lower level. There was no possibility of getting away with it. You know that the opponent is in the early phase of the Golden Core stage, boss, you still. Li Zhengming was stunned. He could see that Lin Yi wasn't trying to look impressive, but seemed to have the confidence to deal with it calmly. But, a newcomer of the Welcome Pavilion against a master in the early phase of the Golden Core stage, and the opponent was a famous genius. Was this possible? You'll know when the time comes. Lin Yi smiled and patted Li Zhengming's shoulder. Then he was slightly stunned as he noticed a slim figure coming from not far away, and it looked very familiar. Are you Lin Yi? The person was wearing a veil, and the voice was very familiar. It was Huang Xiaotao, who went to Mount Tianwu with him. Captain Xiaotao? Lin Yi was stunned. He never thought that Huang Xiaotao would come to find him. But thinking about it, his identity as Wufu Ling Yi was already known, so it wasn't strange for Huang Xiaotao to know about it. Senior, you really are Senior Ling Yi. That's great. Huang Xiaotao was instantly overjoyed, and she hurriedly walked quickly to stand before Lin Yi, unable to conceal her happiness. From the side, Li Zhengming looked at the two of them with a strange expression. Judging from Huang Xiaotao's current attire, she should be an official disciple of Blue Cloud Pavilion without a doubt. On the other hand, although his boss Lin Yi was powerful, he was only a newcomer. Yet, he was being addressed as senior. No matter how he looked at it, this scene was strange. Boss, I'll go back first. Li Zhengming had a strange expression on his face. Immediately, he tactfully left. Don't call me senior. It sounds awkward. Just call me Lin Yi. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. This. Okay, then forgive me for being so bold, Lin Yi. Huang Xiaotao was also stunned, and then she said with some embarrassment. Previously, in her impression, Ling Yi was an extremely tyrannical existence that she could only look up to. She did not expect him to be a newcomer in the welcoming pavilion, and even a junior brother of the Blue Cloud Pavilion. When she first heard the news, she didn't believe it. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, she finally accepted the reality. You came this time. What's the matter? Lin Yi asked. It's actually nothing much. I just want to thank Senior. Oh no, Lin Yi, for saving my life. I also want to apologize to you, Huang Xiaotao said softly with her head lowered. Sorry? Where did this come from? Lin Yi couldn't help but ask curiously. If you hadn't stood up for us back then, we wouldn't have been able to escape. You wouldn't have provoked Su Xiaohe, and you wouldn't have fallen into this situation. It's all because of me. Huang Xiaotao said sadly. Back then, Ling Yi had indeed displayed great strength. However, in Huang Xiaotao's heart, Su Xiaohe had always been a shadow that she couldn't get rid of. She couldn't help but worry that Lin Yi might not be Su Xiaohe's opponent. If that happened, it would be equivalent to her harming Lin Yi, and she would feel guilty for the rest of her life. Actually, you're thinking too much. Even if this didn't happen, I still wanted to kill Su Xiaohe. However, Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, Captain Xiaotao, when I heard about your experience, I already wanted to kill this person. How can a scum like him live in this world? I was just worried that I wouldn't have a chance to kill him. I didn't expect him to take the initiative to challenge me. Isn't this perfect? Hearing this, Huang Xiaotao was a little surprised. She wanted to say something, but then hesitated. You actually want to take revenge for me? As Huang Xiaotao said this, she lowered her head. Her fingers were clenched together, and she didn't know what to do. After being injured, her usually cautious and fragile heart actually trembled at this moment, as if it had been touched by something. Thinking back, when they were at Hutsai Tianwu Mountain, Lin Yi killed Su Xiaohu and the others in order to protect them. After that, in order to protect them, he fought with a mysterious expert. From the aura she felt from afar, that person should be an expert of the Golden Core stage. And now, he actually wanted to take the initiative to stand up for her and take revenge on Su Xiaohu. For no reason, they didn't have any contact, so why was he so good to her? Could it be that he likes me? This thought suddenly appeared, and it couldn't be stopped. In an instant, it occupied her entire mind, and it gave Huang Xiaotao a shock. She had always been very simple. Before she was injured, she had always been cultivating. After that, she was even more focused on accumulating spiritual jades to restore her appearance. She had never seriously thought about the matters of men and women, and she had always felt that love was very far away from her. Especially after she was disfigured, she felt that she could only live alone from now on. But she didn't expect that she would suddenly get to know Lin Yi. Although they had only met once before, and didn't have much interaction, it was undeniable that Lin Yi had left a very unique first impression in her heart, and it made her curious. When a woman started to have curiosity about a man, then she wouldn't be far from falling for him. Huang Xiaotao couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. This feeling of being protected and protected by a man was really good and warm. Did he really like me? Did I like him too? What's wrong with you? Lin Yi saw that Huang Xiaotao lowered her head and didn't speak for a long time, and he couldn't help but ask curiously. It's nothing. Huang Xiaotao's heart skipped a beat, as if someone had seen through her little thoughts. Fortunately, she was wearing a veil, otherwise Lin Yi would have seen her blushing awkwardness and embarrassment. Oh, that's good. Lin Yi looked at her strangely, and shrugged. But, I'm already disfigured. You don't have to be so good to me. I'm not worth it. Huang Xiaotao suddenly thought of her current situation, and her expression became downcast. Her voice trembled as she said sadly. Chapter 4169. What? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment. It took him a while to react. Huang Xiaotao might have thought wrongly. A woman's mind was really hard to guess. Lin Yi wanted to explain immediately. However, even through the veil, he could feel Huang Xiaotao's shyness, inferiority, and happiness at the same time. He couldn't help but hesitate. No matter how beautiful Huang Xiaotao was in the past, after she was disfigured, perhaps no man would have any thoughts about her. Since he suddenly treated her so well, it wasn't strange for her to misunderstand that he was interested in her. However, if he directly told the truth, would it hurt her heart? Although he didn't have much contact with Huang Xiaotao, and he didn't have any thoughts about her at the moment, for this pitiful but strong and kind girl, any man would probably feel pity and never have the heart to hurt her. Even if he was misunderstood, Lin Yi still couldn't bear to break Huang Xiaotao's beautiful thoughts at the moment. If he said it out, she might pretend not to care, but she would definitely be sad and embarrassed in her heart. She had already been disfigured by that scumbag Su Xiaohu. Lin Yi didn't want her to feel inferior again. Huang Xiaotao might not care about this, but if she was hurt because of him, or even opened up the scar, what difference was there between him and that scumbag Su Xiaohu? Actually, Lin Yi thought about it and said in a very tactful way, I still have a few close female confidants. Well, I heard, you have a good relationship with Laner. Huang Xiaotao still lowered her head and said in a low voice, so. I can't compare with her. When I see her, I feel inferior. Lin Yi was stunned again. He didn't expect Huang Xiaotao to pay so much attention to him. She should have known that he was Wu Fu Ling Yi not long ago, but she already knew this. However, listening to Huang Xiaodao's tone, she didn't seem to care about whether he had a close female confidant or not. However, Heaven Stage Island had always maintained its ancient customs. Polygamy and the like had always been very common. As a native, it seemed quite normal that Huang Xiaotao didn't resist it. What made Lin Yi helpless was that the other party's answer was obviously irrelevant. She didn't seem to understand the main point of this matter at all. Instead, she changed the topic to Shangguan Laner. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh again. A woman's mind was really hard to guess. Forget it, let me see your face, Lin Yi said. Although he didn't know whether to laugh or cry, he could still see that Huang Xiaodao's appearance was the biggest knot in her heart. If he didn't help her solve it, she would still feel inferior in the end. Especially when she saw a beauty like Shangguan Laner, it would touch her fragile nerves and remind her of herself, who was once equally beautiful. But if it recovers, then, Huang Xiaotao would naturally regain her confidence. At that time, she would once again be the center of attention, and wouldn't care whether Lin Yi liked her or not. Don't look. Huang Xiaotao was shocked. She covered her veil and subconsciously took a step back. She didn't have the domineering and resolute attitude of the trial team leader when she was at Mount Tianwu. Instead, she became more and more bashful. Don't be afraid, I'll just look. Lin Yi comforted her. No. Don't. Huang Xiaotao shook her head repeatedly. She didn't want anyone to see her ugly appearance, let alone a man like Lin Yi who left a good impression on her. She didn't want her image to appear in Lin Yi's heart. Even the slightest flaw was something all women had in common. However, Lin Yi didn't give her a chance to refuse. He took a step forward while she was unprepared and pulled off her veil. Then, he saw the horrifying scar that covered almost half of her face like a centipede and smiled. Seeing Lin Yi smile, Huang Xiaotao was instantly filled with sorrow. Her eyes turned red, and she started crying. You really laughed at me. I knew it. After you saw my appearance, you wouldn't like me anymore. I really thought too highly of myself. Huang Xiaotao sobbed sorrowfully. Hearing this, Lin Yi was even more stunned and smiled bitterly. He thought to himself that Huang Xiaotao was really too fragile and sensitive when it came to this matter. No matter what happened, she would unconsciously think in the direction of inferiority. This had already become a knot in her heart. You're really thinking too much. I won't laugh at you, I definitely won't. Lin Yi promised with a straight face. He then paused and said, wait for me for a moment. Really? Huang Xiaotao blinked her tear-stained eyes. She covered her face tightly with her hands, not letting Lin Yi see it. It was a pity that the centipede-like scar was useless no matter how hard she tried to cover it. Lin Yi nodded affirmatively. He rummaged through the space in the jade pendant and finally found a bottle of special edition injury medicine. This was a premium edition injury medicine that House Yu had gotten from the Common World's auction. Wu Qintian had packed it all up and stuffed it into Lin Yi's sky-class island. He thought that he wouldn't need it anymore, but he didn't think that it would actually come in handy. This medicine had miraculous effects on old wounds. Most importantly, it could remove scars. Of course, with Lin Yi's strength, he could actually recover Huang Xiaodao's appearance with the art of dragon mastery alone even without this medicine. However, that would require her to be disfigured again in order to recover. That was because this was an old injury that she had suffered many years ago, and it had long since recovered. It was just an ugly and horrifying scar that was left behind. If she directly healed it like this, it would be impossible to heal the injury. If she were to forcefully disfigure her face again in order to recover her appearance, it would be very painful. Huang Xiaotao might not mind doing it herself, but since there was a better way, Lin Yi naturally didn't want her to suffer this pain. It's fine. It'll be fine soon. Lin Yi said as he personally applied the medicine on Huang Xiaodao's face. The feeling of skin-to-skin contact made Huang Xiaotao shocked, and embarrassed. She immediately froze and didn't dare to move. Feeling Lin Yi's warm breath so close to her and looking at Lin Yi's focused expression, Huang Xiaotao knew that he didn't have any other intentions, but her heart still couldn't help but beat wildly. Her mind went wild again, and she couldn't help but fantasize how great it would be if time could stop at this moment. Chapter 4170. Looking at the hideous centipede scar gradually disappear under the effect of the top-grade injury medicine. In the end, not even a wrinkle was left. Lin Yi smiled with satisfaction and handed a mirror to Huang Xiaotao. Huang Xiaotao took the mirror from Lin Yi in a daze and finally woke up from her wild imagination. When she thought of the possible situation, her hands couldn't help but tremble. She held the mirror for a long time, not daring to look at her own face. "Don't be afraid. Take a good look at yourself now." Lin Yi smiled and encouraged her. "Okay." Huang Xiaotao nodded and took a deep breath. Finally, she mustered the courage to look at herself in the mirror. Then, in an instant, she was stunned in disbelief. Her skin was as white as jade, and her skin was as soft and smooth as a newborn baby's. Her face was pure and flawless. After being tormented for so many years, Huang Xiaotao finally saw her past self again. This was a scene that had only appeared in her dreams. Was this another dream? Huang Xiaotao subconsciously pinched her arm and felt a real pain. Her heart was suddenly filled with ecstasy. It was actually real. Smack! Huang Xiaotao suddenly hugged Lin Yi excitedly. She tiptoed and kissed him on the cheek. Unable to suppress her excitement, she said incoherently, "Did you fall in love with me because you knew that you could restore my appearance? You're really amazing." Huh? Lin Yi was speechless. His original intention was that after Huang Xiaotao restored her appearance, she would naturally regain her confidence and would not be constrained to be with him. In terms of beauty, after Huang Xiaotao restored her appearance, she was not inferior to Shanghai Laner at all. In the past, even a person like Su Xiaohe was fascinated by her and did not hesitate to use despicable means. Now, she would definitely be able to attract countless young talents to submit to her. Unexpectedly, after Huang Xiaotao was pleasantly surprised. Her first reaction really made Lin Yi dumbfounded for a long time. He was at a loss for what to do. "Xiaotao, I'm only treating you as a good friend. I really don't mean anything else." Lin Yi had no choice but to bite the bullet and tell her the truth. In any case, now that she had regained her looks and confidence, she would definitely be the center of attention when she returned. Lin Yi reckoned that even if he were to tell her directly, she probably wouldn't be too upset. Upon hearing this, Huang Xiaotao was taken aback. A pair of pure and beautiful eyes stared at Lin Yi's face in astonishment. Her lips moved, but no words came out. "Xiaotao, I know you're a good girl, but I already have a lot of girlfriends." Since he'd already said it, Lin Yi decided to just say it all at once. He didn't want to leave any misunderstandings. "It's not just what you've seen and heard. I have girlfriends in Zhongdao, and not just one." "So? Since there are already so many, is there still a need for me?" Huang Xiaotao suddenly interrupted. Not only did her gaze not shrink back in the slightest, it became even more resolute. Pfft! Lin Yi almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He suddenly didn't know what to say. How did this girl's brain work? What kind of thinking and theory was this? "Oh, I know." Huang Xiaotao suddenly patted her head. She suddenly realized and said, "You're afraid of being found out by them, so you don't dare to accept me, right?" "That's right, Shengguan Laner is such a high and mighty little princess. How could she accept a low-level Blue Cloud Pavilion disciple like me?" You're right." Lin Yi was completely defeated by this girl's logic. He could only take advantage of the situation and lie. Anyway, no matter what, as long as he could make her retreat in the face of difficulties, it didn't matter what reason she used. What was important was the result. Then I know. Thank you. Huang Xiaotao seemed to have finally figured something out. She smiled sweetly at Lin Yi. After putting on her veil again, she didn't say anything else and directly ran away. Phew, she finally gave up. Lin Yi looked at her back and couldn't help but let out a long sigh. He stretched out his hand to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. Talking to this girl was more tiring than fighting with someone. To be honest, with Huang Xiaotao's pure and beautiful appearance, coupled with her strong and kind character, any man would be happy to see her. Naturally, Lin Yi was no exception. After all, a fair and graceful lady was a gentleman's desire. This was the nature and common problem of men. The reason why Lin Yi was trying to find ways to reject her was that he really didn't want to bear more love debts. Having so many confidants was indeed a blessing that all men would be extremely envious of, but at the same time, it was also a heavy responsibility on his shoulders. From the beginning to the end, Lin Yi felt that he had too many confidants. Therefore, ever since he came to Heaven Stage Island, he deliberately avoided getting involved in love debts. He wholeheartedly cultivated and advanced, hoping to be able to wake up the women as soon as possible. If there was another Huang Xiaotao now, it would be unfair to both the many confidants and Huang Xiaotao herself, so it was better to give up the idea as soon as possible. It's probably because she's grateful that she's impulsive and wants to repay him. As long as she calms down and thinks about it, I believe she'll think it through. Lin Yi shook his head with a smile and muttered to himself. Little did he know that this kind of impulsiveness was indeed very likely to happen to other girls, but with Huang Xiaotao's always firm heart, how could she be so easily impulsive? 5 days passed in a flash. The day of the arranged battle between Su Xiaohe and Lin Yi finally arrived as scheduled under the watchful eyes of the public. On this day, the North Island arena was crowded, and the surrounding stands were packed, attracting more than 60% of the disciples of the 3 pavilions to watch the battle. There was no need to talk about Su Xiaohe, as it was said that he was about to become Shengguan Tianhua's disciple, and he was one of the brightest geniuses in the 3 great pavilions. As for Lin Yi, although he was just a new disciple in the welcoming pavilion, he was the most famous new disciple in recent years, and his name had long since spread throughout the 3 great pavilions. Both sides were in the limelight. Coupled with the clear gap in strength between them, this battle had already attracted much attention from the moment it was set, and became the latest topic of conversation among almost all the disciples of the 3 pavilions. In the short span of 5 days, the public had interpreted the grudge between the two into several different versions. Some people said that Lin Yi killed Su Xiaohu, and so Su Xiaohe wanted to avenge his cousin, and at the same time show off his strength to attract the attention of the Shengguan cabinet. This was what Su Xiaohe said when he challenged Lin Yi in public. There were also some who said that Huang Xiaotao had gone to the welcoming pavilion to meet with Su Xiaohe in private. This woman had been involved in a scandal with Su Xiaohe in the past, and due to her disfigurement in an accident, she was exiled to Clear Cloud Pavilion. It was because of her provocation that Su Xiaohe and Lin Yi became enemies. Chapter 4171. Some people even said that Su Xiaohe not only wanted to be apprenticed to Shengguan Tianhua, but also wanted to be Shanghai Tianhua's grandson-in-law. Rumor had it that Lin Yi was very close to Shanghai Laner, so he naturally became a thorn in Su Xiaohe's side. Su Xiaohe wanted to get rid of Lin Yi as soon as possible, so he made a challenge. Various versions of the rumors were flying around, and each of them was very convincing. This battle, which was already the focus of attention, became even more eye-catching, and even evolved into a fiery scene that was now full of people. But no matter which version they believed, the public opinion was always one-sided. In the face of Su Xiaohe, Lin Yi had no chance of winning. Accompanied by senior brother Ku Bai and several others, Lin Yi slowly stepped onto the North Island's arena. He looked around with a calm expression, and when he noticed the figure in the center of the stand, his eyes suddenly froze. Lin Yi never thought that his childish challenge could attract the top big shot of Shanghai Tianhua to watch the battle in person. It wasn't just him. Everyone else present had looks of shock on their faces when they saw Shangguan Tianhua arrive. They all thought that this top powerhouse had come for Su Xiaohe, and wanted to use this challenge to see if Su Xiaohe had the potential to become his proud disciple. Most people thought so, and Su Xiaohe, as one of the protagonists of this challenge, was even more convinced and overjoyed. It was impossible for a big shot like Shanghai Tianhua to specially come to watch the battle for a small newcomer like Lin Yi. The only reasonable explanation was that he really paid attention to him and wanted to see if he could catch his eye. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. During this time, the rumor that Su Xiaohe was going to apprentice to Shanghai Tianhua became more and more intense. Everyone had already believed it to be true, and some people were really uncertain. Instead, it was Su Xiaohe himself. The reason was very simple. Shanghai Tianhua had never explicitly said that he would accept him as a disciple, but intentionally or unintentionally praised him at a meeting of the elders, saying that he could be trained. Gradually, the rumor that Shanghai Tianhua was ready to accept him as a disciple gradually spread, and it was spread to everyone. In addition, Shanghai Tianhua himself did not deny it, so the rumor gradually became more serious. Su Xiaohe was still a little nervous, but now seeing Shanghai Tianhua, specially, attend the challenge for him, he felt as if a big stone had fallen to the ground. It was as if a huge rock had been lifted off the ground, and his heart was completely at ease. He thought to himself that as long as he trampled Lin Yi to death today and revealed all of his hidden strength, the matter of him becoming Lin Yi's disciple would be a done deal. Little did he know that Shanghai Tianhua's appearance this time was completely the masterpiece of Su Xiaohe. He had to come, and his beard was almost pulled off by his little granddaughter. The reason why he was forcibly pulled here. In fact, Shanghai Laner only had one idea, and that was to let him save Lin Yi. Not to say to directly stop the challenge, but at least when Lin Yi encountered a fatal danger. With the strength of Shanghai Tianhua, he could always easily stop it, and would not let Lin Yi die on the spot. However, after glancing at the person standing beside Shanghai Tianhua and Shanghai Laner, Lin Yi could not help but be stunned. He suddenly saw Huang Xiaotao. Since the last time she went back, Huang Xiaotao did not take off her veil, and the news that she had restored her appearance did not spread. Everything was still as usual, and Lin Yi was not too surprised about it. What really surprised him was when Huang Xiaotao and Shanghai Laner got together. Looking at the way Shanghai Laner talked and laughed with her, the two seemed to have a good relationship. Had they been friends for a long time? Why had he never heard Shanghai Laner mention it? However, Lin Yi changed his mind. Huang Xiaotao was also a disciple of Chongtian Pavilion at the beginning, and there were only a few female disciples in Chongtian Pavilion. It seemed quite normal for Shanghai Laner to know her and become her best friend. Little did he know that although Huang Xiaotao was a disciple of Chongtian Pavilion at the beginning, she did not stay in Chongtian Pavilion for a long time. Moreover, there was a huge gap between her and Shanghai Laner. It was destined that they would not even have a chance to meet each other. How could they become best friends? Under normal circumstances, people of similar social status would have a common language. Those who could become Shanghai Laner's best friend were princesses like Ning Xuefei. Huang Xiaotao, a grassroots disciple, obviously did not meet this condition. She and Shanghai Laner really got to know each other in the past few days, and the common ground between the two, or the source of their relationship becoming close, was because of Lin Yi. Senior sister Xiaotao, is what you told me before true? Little junior brother, can he really compete with a gold core stage master? Shanghai Laner looked at Lin Yi who was walking on the ring and asked worriedly again. This little girl really cared about Lin Yi very much. Huang Xiaotao sighed in her heart when she heard this. A few days ago, she saw Shanghai Laner having a headache because of this matter. She thought that the other party was Lin Yi's girlfriend, so she went up to comfort her and told her about this matter. In the beginning, Huang Xiaotao did not expect that this high and mighty Miss Shangguan would be so naive and unpretentious. After a while, the two actually became friends. Today, she was even dragged here by Shanghai Laner to cheer for Lin Yi. Of course, even if there was no Shanghai Laner, Huang Xiaotao would definitely come, but she would not stand in such a central place. However, Huang Xiaotao was still very happy to be able to become good friends with Shanghai Laner. It was not because of Shanghai Laner's noble status. She was not the kind of girl who loved vanity, but because the other party was Lin Yi's girlfriend. After getting along well with her, at least she could reduce some obstacles when she was with Lin Yi in the future. Well, of course, it's all true. Although we escaped in advance that day, we could still feel the aura from the fight behind us. The other party was definitely a gold core stage master. Lin Yi is still intact, which is enough to prove that he at least has the ability to compete with an early stage gold core stage master. So, Lan, you don't have to worry. Huang Xiaotao said with certainty. These words were not only to comfort Shanghai Laner, but also to comfort herself. After all, this matter was also her own speculation, and she was not 100% sure. Previously, when the Gold Core Stage Master tipped off Su Zhaohe, he did not mention his own strength at all. Anyway, he was a casual cultivator, and no one would pay attention to him. The reason why he did not mention it was because this matter was too shameful. He was a middle-stage Gold Core Stage Master, but he was seriously injured by a kid at the peak of the late-stage Foundation establishment realm. If this was spread, he would be laughed at. Chapter 4172. Oh, that's good. Shanghai Laner was a little relieved, but she still turned to Shanghai Tianhua and said seriously, Grandpa, you can't just stand by and watch. You can't let anything happen to little junior brother, absolutely not. I know, little Lan, you have said it 800 times. Grandpa's ears are almost calloused from hearing it. Shanghai Tianhua said helplessly. The pavilion master of Soaring Sky Pavilion was forced to be a member of the fire rescue team. This matter really made people not know whether to laugh or cry. Able to compete with a Golden Core Stage Master? Shanghai Tianhua looked at Lin Yi on the arena with a faint smile on his face. This little guy is getting more and more interesting. But if that's all, it's still not enough to fight against Su Zhaohe. On the arena, Lin Yi and Su Zhaohe were facing each other. Everyone's eyes began to focus on them, and the noisy discussion slowly calmed down. Only Kong Mingming and Nan Tianba and the others were still gloating and laughing. Today was the day of Lin Yi's death. Of course, they had to enjoy such a celebratory day. Unfortunately, Si Haishao was not present, otherwise they would probably laugh even more unscrupulously. After all, this was the territory of the three pavilions. Outsiders were not allowed to enter, and Si Haishao had made a big mistake by flirting with Shanghai Laner and Ning Xuefei. If he came here today, he would probably be drowned by the spit of the disciples of the three pavilions. So even if his heart was itching, he could only stay in the Central Chamber of Commerce and wait for the news of Lin Yi's death. Boy, I heard that you are the #1 newcomer of the welcoming pavilion. Some time ago, you were in the limelight? Su Zhaohe finally spoke. In an instant, the audience was completely quiet. Everyone had a look of watching a good show, waiting for the show to begin. I have no choice. There are always some boring people who come to me. I have to step on them. I'm just trying my best. Lin Yi replied faintly. Hey, your strength is not much, but you really have the demeanor of a pretentious leader. You seem to be quite proud of yourself. Su Zhaohe laughed mockingly. Then, he pretended to be indifferent and said disdainfully, Let me tell you, I was once the #1 rookie. Don't display your slight skill in front of me. You will only be humiliating yourself. Oh? So you're saying that you're a senior? Lin Yi raised an eyebrow in surprise and smiled. That does seem to be an old saying. In the Yangtze River, the new waves push the old waves, and the old waves die on the beach. The crowd burst into laughter when they heard that. Although the fight hadn't started yet, it was quite interesting to watch the two of them bicker. Lin Yi was definitely not Su Zhaohe's opponent in a fight, but his mouth wasn't holding back at all. Sharp-tongued. Probably only a frog at the bottom of a well would say such ignorant and fearless words. Su Zhaohe sneered. Looking at Shanghai Tianhua on the stage, he could not wait to show off, so he pretended to be generous and said, "Let's not talk too much nonsense. Let's hurry up and start. To avoid wasting everyone's time, as a senior, I will let you make one move first, lest others say that I am bullying the weak. Come on. Or something else. If you let me make one move, you won't have a chance." Lin Yi shook his head and said, "Huh. Childish." Su Zhaohe did not care and laughed loudly. He no longer hid his strength. Suddenly, he released the powerful aura of an early-stage gold core cultivator and said proudly, "You still don't know, I have successfully formed my gold core. Today, I am dealing with you purely to beat up a child. That is why I am being merciful and letting you make one move, lest you die with regrets." Ha ha ha. The audience was suddenly in an uproar. Everyone could not help but look at each other. They had never heard anyone say that Su Zhaohe was already an early-stage gold core cultivator. If they remembered correctly, Su Zhaohe was not even 40 years old. Successfully forming his gold core at such a young age was not unprecedented, but at least in the history of the three great pavilions, he could be counted as one of the rare geniuses. No wonder Pavilion Master Shengguan would fancy him. His talent is too terrifying. That's right. Successfully forming his gold core before the age of 40, if we count back, it should be Ram Jia, right? That's right. I didn't expect that he has already reached the level of being on par with Hall Master Gong Yang. The name of a once-in-a-thousand-years genius is indeed not false. Listening to the audience's praises, the corners of Lin Yi's mouth slightly curved up. Although he had not fought with Ram Jia before, judging purely from his intuition, even the original Ram Jia was not someone that Su Zhaohe could compare to. These people actually compared the two of them. Who knew how Ram Jia would feel when he heard this? "Brat, do you see the gap now?" Su Zhaohe listened to these words and felt very pleased. He said complacently, "Even if you and I are both number one newcomers, the value is not the same. We are not on the same level at all. I am the first disciple from the same batch of three great pavilions to form my gold core." "Oh, so what?" Lin Yi asked indifferently. "So what? Humph, trash like you is also worthy of being called number one newcomer? Aren't you ashamed after seeing me? How thick is your skin?" Su Zhaohe sneered and said. "Oh, then how can I be worthy of this title?" Lin Yi said with a playful smile. "At least be the same as me, form your gold core at 35. Su Zhaohe said proudly with his nose in the air. "Then I'm afraid I can't do it, the difficulty is too high." Lin Yi shook his head helplessly. "Ha ha ha, even you know you can't do it. It seems that you are not so stupid that you can't be saved." Su Zhaohe immediately laughed when he heard this. The audience laughed along, especially Kong Ming and the others. They laughed the most happily and proudly. Lin Yi actually took the initiative to admit defeat in front of so many people. This was the first time. However, Lin Yi's next sentence made the audience's laughter stop abruptly. "I'm sorry, I'm only 20 this year. It's a little early." Lin Yi shrugged helplessly. What do you mean?" Su Zhaohe, like the audience, looked puzzled and looked at each other. Lin Yi smiled faintly, and then the aura around him suddenly changed. The powerful aura of the early gold core stage poured out in an instant. Su Zhaohe, who was also an early gold core stage expert, was like a small boat in a stormy sea in front of him. He was no longer a threat. Instead, he gave people the feeling that he could be swallowed at any time. In an instant, the audience was in an uproar. Su Xiaohe on the stage, Kong Mingming and the others on the stage, all had their mouths wide open. Chapter 4173. How was this possible? This guy was at the early phase of Golden Core. This was completely unbelievable. The other spectators weren't sure of Lin Yi's age, but Kong Mingming was very clear that Lin Yi was only 20 years old. Completing Golden Core at 20, what the hell was that? Su Xiaohe, a 35-year-old so-called genius, couldn't even be compared. Even if you looked at the entire history of Sky-class Island and counted all the powerful gods, you probably wouldn't be able to find a 20-year-old Golden Core practitioner. What was Lin Yi? A freak or a freak? Compared to Kong Mingming and the others who were shocked, the bitter disciple and Xiao Ran let out a long breath. When they found out that Su Xiaohe was at the early phase of Golden Core, they were really worried for Lin Yi. They didn't think that Lin Yi would turn the situation around in the blink of an eye. Completing Golden Core at the Welcome Pavilion, Lin Yi wasn't just the #1 newbie right now. Even in the history of the 3 great pavilions, he was the #1 newbie. He could even beat a legendary figure like Zhang Liju. This was a terrifying achievement that would be recorded in the history books. The bitter disciple and the others couldn't calm down. On the other side, Shanghai Laner and Huang Xiaotao were even more surprised and overjoyed. They were more worried for Lin Yi than these people. When they found out that Su Xiaohe was at the early phase of Golden Core, Shanghai Laner even pulled on her grandpa's beard, ready to ask Shanghai Tianhua to forcefully stop the fight. As for Huang Xiaotao, although she knew that Lin Yi could escape from a Golden Core master, it was a completely different concept from fighting Su Xiaohe at the early phase of Golden Core. No matter how much she hated Su Xiaohe, there was one thing that couldn't be denied. This person was very strong. He could already fight a Golden Core master head-on when he was at the peak of Foundation establishment. Now that he was at the early phase of Golden Core, didn't that mean that he was even stronger? The odds were against him. The 2 women's judgment of the situation was exactly the same as the others. However, they didn't expect that Lin Yi was already in the early stage of the Gold Core realm. This was truly shocking news. However, amateurs could only watch for fun, while experts could see for themselves the ropes. Although everyone present had been blinded by Lin Yi's display, none of them were able to see what was truly so heaven-defying about him. Only Shengguan Tianhua had been able to see through the essence of it all. At this moment, the way he looked at Lin Yi was shining with a strange light. $10,000 pill? Could it be that this little fellow had a perfect breakthrough? Even the top boss of Shanghai Tianhua was shocked by Lin Yi at this moment. They were both at the early stage of the Jidan stage, but the aura around Lin Yi was not something that a so-called millennium genius like Su Xiaohe could compare with. Core formation at the age of 20 was already an earth-shattering event. Coupled with the legendary perfect breakthrough, it was even more exaggerated and heaven-defying. Shanghai Tianhua couldn't help but sigh with emotion. The younger generation will surpass us in time. What? You are also in the early stage of the Gold Core realm? Su Xiaohe, the person involved, was shocked and angry at this moment. He thought that it would be as easy as stepping on an ant to kill Lin Yi, but this time, he suddenly felt guilty. Yes. So your proposal of forming the Gold Core at the age of 35 is too difficult for me. I really can't accomplish it. Lin Yi shrugged his shoulders playfully and said, if nothing unexpected happens, I may already be in the nascent soul realm by that time. I really can't come back to form the Gold Core. I can't meet your requirements. The audience suddenly burst into laughter. The world had always been full of praising the strong and trampling on the weak. They, who were watching the show, naturally stood on the side of the strong. Previously, they thought that Su Xiaohe would definitely defeat Lin Yi, but now it seemed that it was not the case at all. The wind naturally turned around. Su Xiaohe was arrogant and flamboyant, and there were many people who disliked him. Humph, nascent soul realm. To hell with you. Facing the ridicule of the crowd, Su Xiaohe's nose instantly became crooked with anger. His face turned livid and he said angrily, "Today, I will let you understand that there is always someone better than you. Even if we are both in the early stage of the gold core realm, there is still a difference in strength. In front of me, you are just a piece of trash with empty levels. Go to hell." As he spoke, the arena under Su Xiaohe's feet suddenly exploded, and his figure instantly disappeared. Finally, he did not dare to boast about letting Lin Yi make one move again. After all, Su Xiaohe was not stupid. Although he admitted that he was invincible in the same realm as Lin Yi, he still thought that he had a 100% chance of winning. He also knew that it was not so easy to deal with a battle of the same realm. If he was a little careless, he might really fail miserably. Therefore, even if he had to eat his words and lose face, Su Xiaohe still chose to strike first. Only the person who laughed last had the right to speak. As long as he could smoothly step on Lin Yi, the stronger Lin Yi was, the more awesome he could be. So fast. Seeing that the fight had finally begun, everyone on the grandstand was excited and exclaimed one by one. There were so many disciples of the three pavilions, and there were many gold core realm experts among them. But even with their eyesight, they could not help but be shocked when they saw Su Xiaohe's skills at this moment, and their faces showed fear. If it was a few experts in the early stage of the gold core realm in the crowd, not to mention fighting against Su Xiaohe, with the horrifying speed he showed at the moment, they could not even touch the hem of his clothes and would be easily killed. There was nothing that could not be overcome, only speed could not be overcome. This principle was not only applicable to martial arts, but also to cultivators like them. However, what he did next was truly astounding. Bang! An explosion suddenly sounded out from the arena. Su Xiaohe's figure, which was already fast to the point of being blurry, suddenly sped up by a great deal along with this explosion. The spectators below the arena weren't even able to catch his figure with their eyes, let alone go against him. Breaking through the sound barrier? Hee, this speed is indeed not bad for ordinary early-stage gold core realm experts, but in front of me, it's still too weak. Lin Yi stood on the stage and said with a faint smile, his hands still behind his back, unmoving. "You're still trying to act cool even when you're about to die. I'll grant your wish." Su Xiaohe laughed sinisterly. His speed did not decrease, but increased instead. His hands formed claws, and a peerlessly powerful genuine qi quickly condensed at the tip of his claws, emitting a terrifyingly powerful qi. Every time he slashed through the air, he would leave behind 5 streams of genuine qi, like sharp blades. Following that, under the terrified gazes of the audience, in the blink of an eye, a dense spider web had appeared on the stage, quickly surrounding and enveloping Lin Yi from all directions. This was not an ordinary net. Every strand of genuine qi could cut through iron like mud, and was not inferior to the existence of a divine weapon. Once one was covered by this net, chopping them into 8 pieces would be an extravagant dream, and the entire person would only be left with a pile of minced meat. Chapter 4174. Heaven's net cover, countless experts have died under my hands. You'll be the next. Su Xiaohe's sinister laughter resounded in the air. In today's battle, he had never thought of giving his opponent a way out. The more pretentious Lin Yi's performance was, the stronger his killing intent was. Successfully forming his golden core at the age of 20, Lin Yi was too big of a threat. If he didn't get rid of him today, there would be endless troubles in the future. For a moment, everyone in the arena didn't dare to breathe too loudly. The bitter seniors were so nervous that they were secretly trembling. Shanghai Laner even pulled Shanghai Tianhua, indicating that he could save Lin Yi. In their eyes, although Lin Yi was also an early-stage golden core expert, Su Xiaohe's reputation wasn't undeserved. Today's battle was still very dangerous. Only Shanghai Tianhua was calm as usual. Lin Yi was the strongest golden core expert who had a perfect breakthrough. How could he lose to Su Zhaohe, who was at the same level? Don't be ridiculous. Strangle. Su Zhaohe's eyes lit up as he retracted his heaven's net. From all directions, countless rays of energy that could cut through gold and iron directly covered the top of Lin Yi's head, making it impossible for him to escape. However, Lin Yi wasn't flustered at all. Taking advantage of the last moment when the heaven's net was retracted, he suddenly moved and threw 1,000 frenzied kicks at the empty air. Boom! Su Zhaohe's sorry figure suddenly appeared on Lin Yi's leg. Then, like a cannonball, he flew out and penetrated the 10 meters thick stone wall, burying himself deep under the spectator stand. As for the deadly heaven's net, with this shocking kick, it instantly vanished into thin air, as if it had never appeared. Such a sudden scene shocked everyone so much that they couldn't close their jaws. One after another, they hurriedly looked at the deep pit below. At this moment, Su Zhaohe's eyes had already turned white. His bloodshot eyes were wide open and he couldn't move. It was obvious that he was exhaling more than he was inhaling. One move. Instant kill. After a long silence, it was unknown who cried out in surprise. Only then did everyone react, and they instantly went into an uproar as they discussed incessantly. The number one newcomer really deserved his reputation. He was not some pretentious leader at all, but he really had the strength to suppress others. They were both experts in the early stage of the Gold Core realm, but Su Zhaohe, who was praised to the heavens, could not even withstand one move in front of him. What kind of monster was this? However, when Lin Yi faintly opened his mouth, the crowd quietened down spontaneously. At this moment, he was the only protagonist here. Originally, I could have spared you, but I have a friend called Huang Xiaotao. Lin Yi said indifferently to the deep pit. Su Zhaohe, who was already on his last breath, suddenly stiffened when he heard this. After twitching helplessly for a while in despair, he actually died on the spot. He really did it for me. Huang Xiaotao, who was on the spectator stand, was instantly moved to tears. She was happy that Lin Yi was able to kill Su Zhaohe in one move, but the last sentence sounded even rarer to her than killing Su Zhaohe in one move. Senior sister Xiaotao, do you like junior brother? Shanghai Laner, who was also immersed in surprise, suddenly asked. She looked at Huang Xiaotao with some doubts and suddenly opened her mouth to ask. I. This question came so suddenly that Huang Xiaotao suddenly stuttered and did not know how to answer. Sure enough, do you want me to be a matchmaker for you? Shanghai Laner could not help but laugh, and immediately suggested on a whim. However, when she said this, she did not know why her heart was slightly tightened, but she did not understand why it was like this. However, Shanghai Laner was not a sensitive person. Although she felt that it was a little strange, she did not take it to heart. This. Huang Xiaotao was so excited that she couldn't speak coherently. Did Shangguan Lan's words mean that she accepted her? If that was the case, wouldn't she be able to be with Lin Yi openly without any obstacles? This silly girl. Shanghai Tianhua, who was watching from the side, could not help but secretly smile bitterly and shake his head, but he did not say anything. He only cared about whether Lin Yi was strong enough and whether he could take good care of his granddaughter. As for how many female confidants Lin Yi had, it was not something he cared about. Polygamy had always been practiced on Heaven Stage Island. He was not to the extent that Lin Yi had to marry only Shangguan Laner. Seeing the shocked expressions of all the people present, Lin Yi smiled faintly, thinking that today's first appearance after returning to the North Island could be considered a perfect ending. Killing Su Zhaohe with one move, such a strong and domineering performance, was to deter the rascals. As expected by Lin Yi, what he had done in the Middle Island would be spread back to the North Island sooner or later. Things like Tiandan Pavilion would definitely make people jealous. It was inevitable that some people would have evil intentions, so he needed to suppress them forcefully. At this critical juncture, Su Xiaohe, the scumbag, came to him on his own initiative. With the previous hatred and old hatred, how could he not kill him? Looking at Lin Yi's many enemies in the North Island, including Nan Tianba, the Southern Sky Gate brothers, as well as people like Kong Ming and Murong Zhen, with his current strength, he was no longer afraid of them. Their strength was no longer at the same level. Although due to the rules of the three pavilions, Lin Yi could not directly kill them, after seeing the scene today, they would definitely not dare to easily provoke him again. Otherwise, they would learn from Su Xiaohe's mistakes. Absolute strength had absolute deterrence. When one's strength was strong enough to crush others, blindly hiding his strength would cause a lot of unnecessary trouble. When necessary, he needed to show his strength and let these rascals despair. How could this be? It's only been more than a month. How could he be an expert in the early stage of the Gold Core realm? He could even kill Su Xiaohe in one move. How is this possible? Murongzhen stared at Lin Yi on the stage and muttered to herself. Not long ago, she was still fantasizing about making Lin Yi kneel under her skirt and beg for mercy. She did not expect that after such a short period of time, Lin Yi had become an existence that she needed to look up to. She could not catch up with his footsteps at all. On the contrary, Kong Ming, who hated Lin Yi to the bone, was shocked at this time, but he did not look too depressed. Previously in the secular world, he had been chasing after Lin Yi and always wanted to counterattack, but he had never succeeded. Therefore, he had long been used to this kind of thing. Since he could not kill him this time, he would admit defeat for the time being. Anyway, he had always been a shameless person, and he had never thought of using his own strength to overwhelm Lin Yi. No matter how strong Lin Yi was, there would always be someone stronger. When the time came, he would just provoke them. Chapter 4175. As expected of boss Lin Yi, it was so satisfying. Zhong Pingliang's heart was filled with excitement. He had long submitted to Lin Yi. The stronger Lin Yi was, the happier he was. He couldn't wait for his boss to be invincible. Among the crowd, only Meng Tong's expression did not change. He calmly looked at Lin Yi on the stage. No one knew what he was thinking. As for Nan Tianba and Nan Tianmen, they looked at each other with lingering fear. Su Xiaohe had the ability to kill people above his level. He was at least comparable to an early-stage Golden Core expert. But in the end, he was killed by Lin Yi as if he was killing a chicken. If it was Nan Tianba, his ending would not be any better. As for Nan Tianmen, who was only at the peak of the Foundation establishment realm, there was no need to talk about it. After today's battle, Lin Yi had become an existence that they could only look up to. If they were alone, they would definitely not dare to provoke him. Otherwise, they would really be courting death. In the crowd, there was a man wearing a bamboo hat, his face obscured. He shuddered as he looked at Lin Yi, who was exuding a domineering aura. He shrunk his neck and quickly ran away. This person was not a disciple of the three great pavilions. He had mixed in with the crowd. If Lin Yi was standing in front of him, he would definitely recognize the face under the bamboo hat. It was the middle-stage Golden Core expert that he had met on Hutsai Tianwu Mountain. Back then, when he fought with Lin Yi, both of them were injured. He was forced to go into seclusion to recuperate for a month. Only recently did he barely recover from his injuries. He could finally come out of seclusion. The first thing he did was to report to Su Xiaohe that Lin Yi had killed Su Xiaohu and the others. He only had one goal, to kill with a borrowed knife. Lin Yi's identity was exposed. Su Xiaohe challenged him in public. Everything was going according to his plan. In his mind, although he was tricked by Lin Yi's alchemic fire bomb, he still had lingering fears. Even now, Su Xiaohe still had a lingering fear in his heart. However, with Su Xiaohe's well-known strength as a genius, even if things did not go smoothly against Emir Lin Yi, at least he would not make any big mistakes. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that things would turn out like this. Su Zhaohe, who was in the early stage of the Gold Core realm, was so weak in front of Lin Yi. Even if his strength was stronger than Su Zhaohe, it was still very limited. How could he be the opponent of Lin Yi? What made him even more puzzled was that no matter how hard he racked his brains. More than a month ago, Lin Yi was clearly only at the foundation establishment stage. How did he suddenly become an early-stage Gold Core stage expert now? Could it be that he had been hiding his strength? Even if it was the myriad Golden Dan fruit, normally, it could only be used to increase the strength of a Golden Dan stage expert. It was impossible for a foundation establishment stage expert to reach core formation in one step, right? This kind of thing was simply unheard of, and it was completely unrealistic. This problem, no matter how much the man in the bamboo hat thought about it, he could not figure it out. In his heart, apart from hatred towards Lin Yi, there was also a faint trace of indescribable fear. Previously, Lin Yi, who was only at the foundation establishment stage, had already fought with him until both sides suffered. Now, Lin Yi was already at the early stage of the Gold Core realm. His strength had probably skyrocketed by more than 10 times. What else could he do? Find a chance to sneak an attack on Lin Yi? As soon as this idea popped up, the man in the bamboo hat already had a guilty conscience. If he really did so, there was more than a 90% chance that nothing would happen to Lin Yi, but he himself would follow in the footsteps of Su Zhaohe. However, if he just watched as Lin Yi was free and unfettered like this, his heart would be scratched by 100 claws. His heart was like 100 claws scratching at it, and he definitely wouldn't let it go. If he took revenge, he might be killed instead. If he did not take revenge, he could not swallow this resentment. If he did not untie the knot in his heart, it might even delay his future cultivation. The man in the bamboo hat was really in a dilemma. Am I just going to watch that brat Lin Yi be unscrupulous like this? The man in the bamboo hat muttered unwillingly as he pinched his chin. At this moment, suddenly, a hand behind him silently patted on his shoulder. Who? The man in the bamboo hat was instantly scared out of his wits. He almost had a mental illness. He hurriedly jumped a step forward. Then, he turned his head in shock and looked behind him. There was a mysterious man dressed in black whose face could not be seen. The man in the bamboo hat was suddenly scared out of his wits. He looked at the man with a face of vigilance. To be able to quietly appear less than a step behind him, and he, an expert at the middle stage of the Gold Core realm, did not notice it at all. If the other party had the intention to kill him, he would have died 100 times by now. The strength of this mysterious man in black was absolutely unfathomable. I have a way to let you quickly improve your strength. Are you interested? The mysterious man in black said faintly. Quickly improve my strength? There is such a good thing? The man in the bamboo hat looked at the other party with a face of vigilance. Then, he sneered and said, "There is no free lunch in this world. Your Excellency, using such a childish trick to deceive people, aren't you looking down on me too much?" In Jianghu, there were too many cases of mutual deception. A little carelessness could lead to falling into someone else's trap. As an expert at the middle stage of the Gold Core realm, the man in the bamboo hat had experienced this kind of thing many times. "Hee, you are quite vigilant." The mysterious man in black smiled indifferently. Then, his body suddenly shook and disappeared into thin air. The next moment, he appeared behind the man in the bamboo hat. The man in the bamboo hat was once again frightened. The supersonic speed that Su Zhaohe displayed on the arena was simply child's play compared to that of the mysterious man in black. It was not worth mentioning. And he once again confirmed one thing. If the other party wanted to kill him, it would indeed be effortless. However, the mysterious man in black obviously did not have this intention. He just whispered something in his ear and turned away. However, it was this simple sentence that made the man in the bamboo hat's face change. Then, his attitude immediately changed 180 degrees. He hurriedly nodded and followed the mysterious man in black with a face of trust. After a while, the man in the bamboo hat was already in an underground secret room. He had been injected with a kind of medicine and was in the process of digesting the medicine. At the same time, right above the secret room, in a private room with a unique charm, the black-robed man was respectfully reporting to a mysterious woman. I have already injected him with the medicine and taught him the trick of digesting the medicine. The man in black bowed and reported. Okay. The mysterious woman nodded as she continued arranging the flowers. But, may I be so bold to ask, what kind of medicine is this? The man in black couldn't help but feel a little strange. This was the first time he had come into contact with this medicine. He had never seen it before. With his level and status, this was very rare. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. You are also an old man. Don't you even know these rules? The mysterious woman's calm tone had a little more worry. Chapter 4176. Yes. The man in black immediately lowered his head, covered in cold sweat. Although she didn't release any aura, the words that fell on his head were heavy, and he couldn't bear it. But, you are one of us. Although this is a core secret, there's no harm in telling you. The mysterious woman's tone was still calm as she said faintly, this is the medicine that Professor Lee gave me through special channels. Once the test is successful, we can mass-produce original soul masters, helping us achieve great things. If these words were leaked out, it would definitely set off a storm. In the entire North Island of the Heaven Realm, the original infant stage cultivators were all top-notch existences, second only to the top few. However, from the mouth of this mysterious woman, they were like puppets that could be created at will. This was a huge event that could change the world. It's Professor Lee? The man in black, on the other hand, wasn't surprised at this point. He couldn't contain his excitement. Not only did he open up the passage between Heaven Island and the mortal world, but he also opened up the passage between Heaven Island and the Yanhuang Planet Transit Station. It's not really a passage. The mysterious woman shook her head and said faintly, he used a special channel to send this medicine over. When we go to the mortal world, we're just sending things over. We can't go there for the time being, but we have to thank Zhang Liju for finding this loophole. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have found this loophole in the four-dimensional space. Four-dimensional space formation. This is what Sun Sikong set up all those years ago. The man in black raised a brow. That's right. That Sun guy thinks he's so smart, but he doesn't know that it's nothing difficult for Professor Lee. He has already told the way to break it to his disciple, Professor Benjamin too, and my clone in the mortal world has already started researching with him. As she said this, the mysterious woman's lips curled up. One day, we will be able to travel between Heaven Island and the mortal world freely. We can freely travel between Heaven Island and the secular world, so I believe we won't have to wait too long. As the two were talking, a tremor came from the bottom of their feet, and there were traces of pure chi coming out. It seems like it's working. Go take a look. The mysterious woman ordered. The man in black took the order and left, but he was secretly shocked. This was their secret base in the North Island, and almost all of the top protective formations were used. Even the Island Master's Pavilion of the North Island couldn't compare with this place. However, after the person below had been injected with the drug, the vital energy that his body emitted was actually able to penetrate the top-notch defensive array. It caused the entire base to tremble. It was simply inconceivable. After entering the underground chamber, the black-clothed man had only taken a step forward. Even with his strength, he was almost repelled by the raging and surging true energy. It was truly inconceivable. At this moment, the man in the bamboo hat was like a demon. His entire body was enveloped in an unprecedentedly powerful vital energy, giving off the feeling that the surrounding space was distorted. Accompanied by the incessant howls of pain, his strength rapidly skyrocketed at a frightening speed. From the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, in the blink of an eye, he jumped all the way to the peak of the Golden Core realm. After that, there was a huge barrier between the Golden Core realm and the nascent soul realm. It was easily pierced through like a piece of paper in a window. In less than the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the man in the bamboo hat had actually turned from the middle stage of the Golden Core realm to an expert of the nascent soul realm. This drug is really powerful. Even the black-clothed man couldn't help but exclaim when he saw this. Although he also knew that the more powerful the drug was, the more terrifying the side effects would be. Even so, just for the point of being able to mass-produce experts of the nascent soul realm, this result of Professor Lee's could be said to be earth-shattering. However, before he could finish sighing, the man in the bamboo hat, who should have gradually calmed down, suddenly let out an even more heart-wrenching roar. Immediately after, the raging true energy suddenly increased again, quickly climbing to an even more shocking level. The black-clothed man's expression changed. Before he could do anything, he heard a muffled bang. The entire underground chamber was instantly covered with flesh and blood. It was shocking to see, and the man in the bamboo hat had actually exploded and died. Seeing this, the black-clothed man was shocked. He immediately turned around and went upstairs to report to the mysterious woman. So, this experiment is a failure. The mysterious woman shook her head regretfully. This was an experiment that could subvert the power structure of the Heaven Stage Island. Although she had long expected that the possibility of failure was not low, now that she faced the reality, she couldn't help but be a little disappointed. In my opinion, it can't be considered a complete failure. At least this kind of drug can indeed increase the strength to the nascent soul realm. It's just that it can't be maintained at the moment. The black-clothed man reported. Well, I have to report this to the headquarters. You go and dispose of the body. The mysterious woman ordered, turned around, and entered the inner room. She used her special channel to report to the headquarters, and the black-clothed man responded and left. In the inner street of the market, Hong's Chamber of Commerce, Lin Yi, Shengguan Laner, Huang Xiaotao, and Hong Zhong sat together at a table, toasting happily. The reason why everyone came here this time was actually Shengguan Laner's idea. She wanted to hold a celebration banquet for Lin Yi, and Lin Yi happened to come to see his old friend, Hong Zhong, so everyone came to the Hong's Chamber of Commerce. As for why Huang Xiaotao appeared here, there was another reason. Well, since we have already celebrated for junior brother, now it's time to talk about business. Shengguan Laner suddenly cleared her throat. Oh? What business? Lin Yi and Hong Zhong looked at each other, confused. Only Huang Xiaotao, who was next to him, suddenly blushed and lowered her head slightly. Since I'm so serious, of course it's a big deal, and it's a lifelong event. Junior brother, it's a good thing for you. You have to thank me, your senior sister. Shengguan Laner said mysteriously. Lifelong event? What's going on? Lin Yi was even more puzzled. Since you're so curious, then I won't keep you in suspense. Junior brother, listen carefully, senior sister Xiaotao likes you very much. You have to treat her well in the future. Shengguan Laner announced with a mischievous face. However, for some reason, when she said this, she suddenly had an inexplicable feeling of loss in her heart. Even though Shengguan Laner was a thick-skinned person, she could not help but feel a little strange. What was wrong with her? At this moment, when Huang Xiaotao heard this, her ruddy face instantly turned even redder, and she immediately buried her head deeper, not daring to look up. Today, Shengguan Laner specially asked her to come here for this matter. Chapter 4177. At first, she thought that Shanghai Laner was just joking on a whim. She didn't expect that this little girl would really do it. For a moment, Huang Xiaotao was both happy and shy. There was no doubt that she liked Lin Yi, and now that Shangguan Lan'er, the real girlfriend, was personally matchmaking them, there shouldn't be any more obstacles now, right? Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect that Shanghai Lan'er would suddenly play such a trick on him. What should he do? This was not a private occasion. In front of Hong Zhong and Shanghai Lan'er, if he rejected her bluntly like last time, it would really hurt Huang Xiaotao's heart. Moreover, although Huang Xiaotao was blushing and didn't speak, Lin Yi could also see that this girl wanted him to nod. Huang Xiaotao's character was a typical soft on the outside but hard on the inside. If Lin Yi refused at this time, she might still force a smile on the surface, but she would be sad and cry when she went back. This emotional injury would probably be difficult to recover from. However, Lin Yi didn't want to cause more emotional debts for himself. In this situation, he couldn't refuse or agree, so he could only helplessly say, as long as we get along, we will get along slowly and let nature take its course in the future. NN. Huang Xiaotao was overjoyed when she heard this. She nodded shyly. Although Lin Yi's words were not so resolute, it could already be regarded as a confirmation. In the future, when she was with Lin Yi, it would be fair and aboveboard. That's great. Remember that I'm the matchmaker for you too. I'm the matchmaker for you too. He. Shanghai Lan'er teased with a smile, but the inexplicable sense of loss in her heart still lingered. The two of you are a match made in heaven. Young hero Lin, your good fortune is truly enviable. Congratulations. Hong Zhong said with a smile. Thank you very much, Manager Hong. Lin Yi didn't know how to explain to Hong Zhong, a bystander who didn't know the truth. He could only change the topic. Oh right, shopkeeper Hong, other than Hutsai Tian Wu Mountain, are there any other places where the life-growing mushrooms can be found? Speaking of which, his initial goal when he went to Mount Hutsai was to find the life-growing mushroom. However, he did not expect to accidentally discover the 10,000 golden dan fruit. After that, a series of events happened, and he was sent to Middle Island. Lin Yi had gained a lot in the past month, but he was missing the life-growing mushroom. It was also for this reason. Lin Yi did not go to the King of Junk for the past few days. Otherwise, even if Su Zhaohe had challenged him to a battle in public, he would have gone to the King of Junk to study the forging. Oh. Young Master Lin, didn't you go to the North Island Cultivators Guild? Didn't you go look for them yourself? Hong Zhong couldn't help but feel strange. It's a long story. I did go to Mount Hutsai Tian Wu Mountain, but before I could find the life-growing mushroom, I got into a fight with someone and both sides were injured. After that, I was sent to Middle Island. I had no chance at all. Lin Yi shook his head and smiled bitterly. He also roughly told him what happened in Middle Island. Yes, we went to Mount Hutsai Tian Wu Mountain together. That's how I met Lin Yi. Huang Xiaotao nodded and said. There's such a thing? I didn't expect young Master Lin to really go to Middle Island. Hong Zhong raised his eyebrows in surprise. He introduced Kai Zhongyang of Middle Island to Lin Yi just in case. He didn't expect it to really come in handy. Aside from surprise, Hong Zhong couldn't help but sigh in admiration when he heard about what Lin Yi did in Middle Island. Each and every one of those things was not a small feat as expected. Lin Yi was not an ordinary person. Yes, so now we're back to square one. I have to find another way to get the life-growing mushroom. If it doesn't work, I have to go to Mount Hutsai Tian Wu Mountain again. Lin Yi said helplessly. He didn't know how long the King of Rags could wait, but anyway, the sooner he got the life-growing mushroom, the better. It's actually not necessary. As early as a month ago, I've already put up a bounty task for you in the Cultivators Guild of North Island. I guess there will be a result by the end of this month. Young Master Lin, you might as well wait a little longer. Hong Zhong smiled. That's great. Thank you, Manager Hong. Come on, let me propose a toast to you. Lin Yi was overjoyed and immediately raised his glass to thank him. West Island. Ning Xuefei had been playing in North Island for so long. Finally, she returned to her familiar home. But the first thing she did was not to see her mother, the owner of the island, but to find Han Jingjing. Jingjing, guess who I saw in North Island? Ning Xuefei hugged Han Jingjing, who was studying the automatic casting mechanism, and kept her guessing mysteriously. Who? Didn't you go to see Laner, in Shanghai? Han Jingjing blinked her big eyes and asked in confusion. Of course I saw Lan, But I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about another person. He has a lot of connections with you, Jingjing. Ning Xuefei winked. Connections with me? I've never been to North Island. Who would have connections with me? Han Jingjing was even more confused. Who said no? The person I saw in North Island this time is the person you've been thinking about day and night. Ning Xuefei said with a smile. Could it be Brother Lin Yi? Han Jingjing's eyes suddenly lit up. She held Ning Xuefei in her arms and said excitedly. It's him. Ning Xuefei said. She took out a small box from her arms, in which there were 3 highest-grade elixirs. She handed them to Han Jingjing and said, Here, these are refined by your brother Lin Yi. Put them away quickly. Highest-grade foundation building elixirs? Han Jingjing was surprised and happy. She couldn't help but ask, Does brother Lin Yi know I'm here? No, I haven't told him yet. I'm thinking of taking you there next time and giving him a big surprise. Ning Xuefei stuck out her tongue. Going to North Island? Han Jingjing nodded repeatedly. Her face was full of expectation. Then she pulled Ning Xuefei and asked impatiently, Feifei, how is brother Lin Yi now? Tell me quickly. Ning Xuefei immediately told Han Jingjing everything she had experienced after she went to North Island. Because of Lin Yi, Han Jingjing listened very attentively. Even if it was just a little trivial thing, she would unconsciously feel nervous and happy. Especially when she heard that Si Haishao flirted with the 2 girls and Lin Yi stepped forward, she was so nervous that she didn't dare to breathe. Until she heard that 5 disciples in Gold Core stage stepped forward, she patted her chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Brother Lin Yi went to Cultivators Guild in North Island? What happened later? Did he find the mutual growth mushroom? Han Jingjing asked. Chapter 4178. I don't know. I haven't heard from him since he left for half a month. Then I came back, so I don't know how he is now. Ning Xuefei shook her head helplessly. Well, isn't it said that Hutsai Mountain is very dangerous? I'm very worried about brother Lin Yi. Han Jingjing was worried. Suddenly she blinked her big eyes and said, Feifei, why don't you write to him and ask? Okay, to be honest, I'm also a little worried. I'll write to Lan and ask. Ning Xuefei agreed readily and immediately wrote a letter. After sending it out, the 2 women were still chattering about Lin Yi. But this time, it was the opposite. Ning Xuefei took the initiative to pester Han Jingjing to tell her about Lin Yi's various things in the secular world. Although Han Jingjing had mentioned it before, she didn't know who Lin Yi was at that time, and she didn't think there would be any intersection between them, so she didn't take it seriously at all. But now it was different. Not only Han Jingjing, his real girlfriend, was concerned about Lin Yi's affairs, but she, the little princess of West Island, was also inexplicably worried about him. In the North Island, it had been a few days since he killed Su Xiaohe with one move last time. In the face of Lin Yi's strong and domineering return, except for a lot of discussion in the 3 pavilions, no one dared to trouble him for a while. If Lin Yi was just a normal number 1 newbie, there'd be a lot of people coming to cause trouble for him, whether it was for fame or profit. But now, he'd killed Su Xiaohe in one hit. Even in the history of the three pavilions, he was undoubtedly the #1 newbie in the history of the three pavilions. With such strength, even if he was a newcomer, he was definitely a top-notch existence in the three pavilions, and ordinary people couldn't afford to offend him. Coming to find trouble was completely courting death. Who dared to provoke him? As for those who were stronger than Lin Yi, although it wasn't to say that they didn't exist, they were either the direct disciples of those top big shots, or they were famous people like the Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall, Gong Yangjie. Unless there was a huge conflict of interest, they wouldn't come looking for trouble with Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi wasn't just strong. After the last battle, news of Shengguan Tianhua's favor had spread throughout the three pavilions. No matter who it was, they wouldn't be able to make a move on Lin Yi. They had to consider Shanghai Tianhua's attitude. Therefore, in recent days, Lin Yi had a rare leisure time. Except that Shanghai Laner occasionally brought Huang Xiaotao to chat with him, what he had to do every day was to go to the Hong's Chamber of Commerce to wait for the news of the growing mushroom, or to practice in the cave residence to stabilize his realm. A high-level battle of life and death was enough to make up for months of hard work. This was common knowledge in the cultivation world. And when Lin Yi fought against Su Xiaohe, even though it was not intense and could only be regarded as a small test, it was still a real battle of life and death. In addition, Lin Yi had been practicing hard during this period of time. Now, not only had he completely stabilized his early golden elixir realm, but there were even signs of a breakthrough. Above the early golden elixir realm was the peak of the early golden elixir realm. Such a speed was not only shocking, but even Lin Yi himself felt that it was incredible. This speed was comparable to when he broke through from the early foundation establishment stage to the peak of the early foundation establishment stage. It completely overturned the common sense that the higher the level, the harder it was to break through. It could only be said that the so-called perfect breakthrough and the so-called strongest golden elixir realm master were not empty words. If this continued, the day when Lin Yi became truly invincible in the golden elixir realm would not be too far away. Finally, in this slightly leisurely wait, Lin Yi finally received news from Hong Zhong. The life-growing mushroom was in his hands. Just like its name, the life-growing mushroom was a combination of all known characteristics, and each characteristic had its own representative color. Therefore, at first glance, the life-growing mushroom could be described as colorful. More importantly, its color was not unchanging, but it could change at any time. The pattern of change was in accordance with the surrounding environment, naturally blending with the environment. It was an extremely brilliant protective color. It was already very rare, and with this layer of protective color that could change at any time, unless it was an experienced collector, it would be difficult to detect. It was not difficult to understand why the life-growing mushroom was so rare in the market. With the life-growing mushroom, Lin Yi immediately went to the King of Junk's secret base. When he found the King of Junk in the cave, this guy was still carefully controlling the fire. His expression was focused, and he did not dare to let his guard down. "Brother Wang, you've worked hard these past 2 months. Lin Yi will remember your hard work and hard work." Lin Yi could not help but be moved. "Hey, Brother Lin, what are you saying? I've been entrusted with a task, and this is all part of my duty. Moreover, I was the one who suggested it. With such an abnormal situation, if I don't keep a close eye on it, wouldn't I be letting down so many of your top-level materials?" The King of Junk saw Lin Yi and was both surprised and happy. He waved his hand and laughed. Although he spoke calmly, Lin Yi was still very touched. It was a simple sentence of being entrusted with a task, but it had been more than 2 months, and he did not even know if it would succeed. He had insisted on guarding this place. If it were anyone else, they would not be so honest. Perhaps once Lin Yi left, he would have already sneaked away. Even putting aside the forging, the King of Junk was definitely worthy of the word righteousness. To be able to make a friend like this, it was worth it. This is the life mushroom and the other materials you listed. Have a look, Brother Wang. Lin Yi patted the King of Junk's shoulder heavily. Without saying anything else, he immediately took out all the repairing materials. Great! The King of Junk was overjoyed. He took the materials and checked them carefully one by one until he was sure that they were all of high quality. He then nodded affirmatively. There had been an accident before, so the next remedy was very important. If he failed again, it would be a complete failure. Therefore, he could not afford to make any mistakes. How about it? Can we start again? Lin Yi asked expectantly. Well, let's not delay. Although there were not many changes in the past 2 months, some things can't be observed with the naked eye. It's not a good thing to delay for too long. Let's start now. The King of Junk took a deep breath and immediately increased the heat. The originally lukewarm forging pool began to boil again. Then, the King of Junk mixed the materials given by Lin Yi and added them into the forging pool one by one. Then, he guided them to the iron lump in the middle. Lin Yi watched all this attentively. Even with his calm temperament, he could not help but feel nervous at this moment. He had spent so many materials and energy on this casting. The success or failure depended on this move. Chapter 41-79. They held their breath and stared at the lump of iron in the casting pool for half an hour. When Lin Yi and the King of Junk couldn't help but look at each other, thinking that they had failed, the lump of iron finally reacted. The reaction was very, very slow, so subtle that ordinary people couldn't detect it. However, for both Lin Yi and the King of Junk, Lin Yi's senses were very sharp, while the King of Junk was a professional blacksmith. Sensing changes was one of his basic skills. At this moment, the lump of iron began to melt like 1,000-year-old ice, which couldn't escape their eyes at all. It's done. Lin Yi and the King of Junk high-fived each other in celebration. As long as the ice was broken, the following changes would happen naturally. In the past 2 months, the King of Junk didn't just simply look at the lump of iron. He took advantage of this time to thoroughly study the forging process and calculated every possible change. He had prepared more than 100 emergency plans for this. If he still failed, it would be God's will. As expected, the King of Junk seemed to be at ease in the forging process. Every time there was an unexpected sign, it was immediately suppressed by him and couldn't cause any trouble. As they waited anxiously, several days passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Yi's originally calm mood gradually became uneasy, because the final time had come. Once it was successful, with all the top-level materials Lin Yi had thrown in, and the blood and sweat the King of Junk had poured into it, the weapon he would be able to make would be one of a kind, even if it wasn't the first in history. Lin Yi's strength would skyrocket once more. However, in the midst of such anticipation and uneasiness, the King of Junk's expression suddenly changed, and so did Lin Yi's expression. Right at the final step. It was stuck. What's wrong? Is there something missing? Lin Yi couldn't help but ask. He was just about to come out of the furnace, but it was suddenly stuck. This kind of feeling was really annoying. It's not that bad. The King of Junk turned around and looked at Lin Yi with a bitter smile. He said helplessly, "It's very important to control the temperature and environment when a legendary weapon is produced. Only then can it be produced smoothly, but I can't do it, huh? Can't do it?" Lin Yi couldn't help but grin, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. At this critical moment, she actually said that she couldn't do it. What was going on? "Brother Lin, if we fail again this time, the problem will all be on me," the tattered king said in a low voice. Then, he scratched his head in disbelief. "But it's only at the last minute. There have never been any problems before. Why is it not working today? Could it be that my forging skills are really that bad? It's fine. There won't be any more problems at this point anyway. If the first time doesn't work, then we'll try again." If the second time doesn't work, then we'll try a third time. Let's try more. Lin Yi comforted him. The tattered king nodded and continued with various attempts. However, what made him want to cry was that no matter what he did, it just wouldn't work. There would always be a slight error. Although it was only a little, it seemed to be an insurmountable gap. This time, even Lin Yi didn't know how to comfort him. He could only stare at the tattered king and stare at each other. The tattered king, who had always been confident, even began to doubt if his forging skills were really bad. Little did he know that if the weapon forging masters were to find out about this, they would probably cry. 10,000-year tree crystals, ancient pure lands, and other rare treasures of heaven and earth, and you two actually put them all together. Even genius grandmasters like them would find it difficult to control them, and you two newbies actually dared to open a furnace and do it? You guys really don't know what you're talking about. It would be a miracle if you could even form it. In fact, it was already a miracle that you could reach the last step. However, the tattered king and Lin Yi didn't know that. They thought it was really their own problem, so they frowned and didn't know what to do. The last step of forming depended on the perfect control of the fire. There was no shortcut. Unless they could find a weapon forging master to help them, it was impossible. Even an ordinary weapon forging master couldn't do it. However, there were very few weapon forging masters in the whole North Island. Except for the tattered king, it was hard to find a weapon forging master. Moreover, in terms of forging skills, they were not as good as the tattered king. They couldn't be called weapon forging masters at all. What should they do? Helplessly, Lin Yi could only let the tattered king stay in the cave and continue to try, while he went back to the welcome pavilion. After all, it was not a good idea to stay there. Even if he stayed there, he couldn't help the tattered king. But, he couldn't get rid of it. Even when he came out alone, he couldn't help but frown. Junior brother, what's wrong with you? You don't have fun with us? Seeing this, Shanghai Laner couldn't help but pout. These days, she dragged Huang Xiaotao to play with Lin Yi when she had nothing to do. She claimed that she wanted to help them cultivate their relationship and be a competent matchmaker. Huang Xiaotao also looked at Lin Yi carefully. She was worried. She thought it was because she and Shanghai Laner came too often that Lin Yi was annoyed. No, don't get me wrong. It has nothing to do with you two. Lin Yi hurriedly explained, actually, it's my own problem. I've been crafting with a friend recently, and we've used a lot of treasures and energy. I've tried everything I could to find the life-growing mushroom just for this crafting, but now that I'm about to succeed, I'm stuck at the last step. I can't form it. I really don't know what to do. Oh, I see. It's a pity that my grandfather doesn't know anything about forging. Otherwise, I could ask him to help. Shanghai Laner shook her head regretfully. I still need to gather the materials for my weapon and send it to a blacksmith. But those blacksmiths' levels aren't very high. I reckon they won't be of much use. Huang Xiaotao couldn't help with this kind of thing. The only thing she could do was to comfort Lin Yi and ask him not to be anxious. There's no other way. We can only take it one step at a time. Let my friend continue to explore. I hope it won't get worse before we find a solution. Lin Yi could only smile bitterly. After chatting for a while, the few of them dispersed. Shanghai Laner happened to receive a letter from Ning Xuefei. She immediately wrote down everything that had happened to Lin Yi during this period of time in detail. She even included Lin Yi's current worries in the letter. Chapter 4180. Finally receiving a reply from Shangguan Laner, Ning Xuefei naturally couldn't wait to share it with Han Jingjing. Looking at Lin Yi's recent situation, especially the strong performance of killing Su Xiaohe in one move, the two women sincerely felt happy for Lin Yi. Brother Lin Yi is really powerful. He is already at the early stage of Gold Core. We also have to work hard, otherwise we can't keep up with Brother Lin Yi's footsteps, Han Jingjing said with a look of admiration and determination. Well, it's not good to fall behind too much. Ning Xuefei nodded in agreement and said, Jingjing, you haven't used your foundation establishment pill yet. Take it quickly to upgrade. Yes, that's what I was thinking. We've hit a bottleneck with our automated crafting machine. I'm sure we'll be able to solve it once we get stronger. If we succeed, we'll be able to solve Big Bro Lin's problems. Han Jingjing said seriously. Yes, our automatic casting mechanism can perfectly solve this kind of fire control problem. It just happens to be of help to him. We have to work hard. Ning Xuefei cheered them on. Well, let's work hard together. Han Jingjing said nothing and immediately took the best foundation establishment pill and began to meditate to break through. Although she did not pursue strength, in order to help Lin Yi, she was willing to try anything. Ordinary days always passed in a flash. Recently, Lin Yi's life could be said to be uneventful. During this time, those forces against Lin Yi, his group of enemies, all coincidentally stopped. And Lin Yi was also happy to be idle. Although he still could not solve the problem of the casting not being able to take shape, he did not let this matter affect his normal cultivation. He was getting closer and closer to the peak of the early stage of Gold Core. As the days passed, the one-year period of welcoming Pavilion's newcomers was approaching. But a big event happened in the 3 pavilions of the North Island. Su Lingchong, the young master of Soaring Sky Pavilion who disappeared a few months ago, actually came back. As soon as the news came out, everyone in the 3 pavilions was shocked. Many people were surprised and suspicious. Su Lingchong's disappearance was confirmed by the Law Enforcement Hall. He absconded in fear of being punished for the attempted rape of Shanghai Laner. He had been wanted for a long time in the whole North Island, but there had been no news of him. It was not until some time ago that the Law Enforcement Hall suddenly withdrew the wanted order. Everyone thought that it was because they could not find the person, so they could only leave it be. Behind them, Su Yuanzheng, the 3rd elder of the Soaring Sky Pavilion, was also contributing. Cancel the wanted order to avoid being laughed at by others. Little did he know that even Su Yuanzheng himself was baffled by this matter. He thought that it was Shanghai Tianhua who had come forward to say hello. After all, this matter was related to Shanghai Laner, and it was not convenient for others to come forward to say anything. Moreover, apart from Shanghai Tianhua, Ram Jia never gave face to anyone else in the 3 pavilions. What no one expected was that as soon as the arrest warrant was lifted, young Master Su, who had disappeared for several months, would suddenly appear again. It couldn't be someone with ulterior motives. Was it a smoke bomb deliberately released? This rumor was finally confirmed after Su Lingchong appeared. This young Master Su, who was once popular. Sure enough, he was back. What was even more shocking was that Su Lingchong, who appeared again, was completely different from the previous image of a young master. Not only did his long hair flutter, but there was also a bit of inexplicable evil in his speech and behavior, which made people unconsciously feel strange. And the most shocking thing was that Su Lingchong, who was only at the peak of foundation establishment before. Now, only a few months later, he actually had the powerful strength of the middle stage of Gold Core. The shock brought by this news was even no less than the discovery that Lin Yi was an expert at the early stage of Gold Core. In just a few months, he not only succeeded in forming his core, but also rose 3 levels in a row. This was simply a fantasy. Countless people had the same question in their hearts. How on earth did he do it? It was true that there were strange talents every year, but there were especially many this year. If Su Lingchong's sudden return brought shock to the 3 pavilions, then the happiest person was his grandfather, Su Yuanzheng. As the big boss of the Elders' Union, Su Yuanzheng could be said to be mentally and physically exhausted during this period of time. For so many years, Su Lingchong, this grandson of his, had always been his sole heir. Apart from Su Lingchong, there was no other young person in the Su family who could take his place. Unlike ordinary families, the ancestors of the Su family were all local big families on the North Island. They were deeply rooted and powerful. The heir not only needed bloodline, but also strong strength. Otherwise, he would not be able to control the situation, let alone be the head of the family. Looking at all the young people of the Su family, there was only one person who met this condition, Su Lingchong. Therefore, after Su Lingchong's sudden disappearance, this big boss Su Yuanzheng was really anxious. The more powerful the family, the more importance it attached to the inheritance. Once something happened to the heir, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even with Su Yuanzheng, this big boss, suppressing from above, he still could not stop the turbulent undercurrent. During this period of time, the Su family, including many of the collateral forces attached to the Su family, had obviously begun to be restless. But now, with the sudden return of Su Lingchong, especially with the amazing strength of the middle-stage gold core realm, all these problems were solved. How could he improve his strength to such an amazing level in just a few months? This was a question that Su Yuanzheng would certainly ask, and the answer Su Lingchong gave was that he had received guidance from a mysterious expert, so he could have such progress. Although Su Yuanzheng still had doubts in his heart, of course, the stronger his grandson was, the better. Since Su Lingchong himself was unwilling to say more, he would not get to the bottom of it, but he was sincerely happy. However, if Su Yuanzheng knew that Su Lingchong had castrated himself, he did not know if the third elder of Rising Sky Pavilion would still be able to laugh. Other than Su Yuanzheng, the one who was the happiest about Su Lingchong's return was Kong Mingming, who used to be his follower. This was his biggest support before, and now he had returned with the domineering strength of the middle-stage gold core realm. Moreover, because the arrest warrant was not settled, Shanghai Tianhua and Ram Jia did not say anything, the suspicion on Su Lingchong's head had disappeared. Therefore, as soon as he returned, he once again occupied the position of the big brother in charge of Rising Sky Pavilion. This was definitely a thick thigh. Even the previously popular Lin Yi could not be compared to the current Su Lingchong, so how could he not embrace him? When Kong Xiaoming heard the news, he immediately went to seek shelter. Although he was already an outer member of the guild center, it wasn't a bad thing to have someone to rely on. Zhong Pingliang, on the other hand, wanted to find out more about Su Lingchong, so he went with him. Chapter 4181. Seeing that Su Lingchong's temperament had changed greatly, the two of them were shocked and looked at each other. Su Lingchong did not look surprised, but just glanced at the two of them lightly. "You're here? Where's the one called Si Haishao?" Su Lingchong asked directly. Si Haishao? Kong Mingming could not help but wonder, "Young Master Su, you also know shopkeeper Si? But, he wasn't with us before, right?" "He wasn't before, but he is now. Go and call him over," Su Lingchong instructed lightly. Kong Mingming did not dare to neglect and immediately went out to invite Si Haishao from the Central Chamber of Commerce. Along the way, Si Haishao could not help but be puzzled and nervous. Su Lingchong suddenly called him over. What did this mean? Could it be that the secret alliance with Kong Mingming and the others, and the matter of pulling them into the periphery of the Central Chamber of Commerce had been discovered by Su Lingchong? He was dissatisfied with being poached by him, so he wanted to make an example out of him? Muttering in his heart, Si Haishao finally decided to come and take a look. Although Su Lingchong had made a strong comeback, and most people had to take a detour, Si Haishao was not someone to be trifled with. In terms of strength, he was stronger than a middle-stage gold core. In terms of status, he was also the spokesperson of the North Island of the Central Chamber of Commerce. He was not afraid of Su Lingchong in any aspect. In the future, whether Su Lingchong was an enemy or a friend, and how he should face this young master of Soaring Sky Pavilion, he had to personally come and confirm. Unexpectedly, when he came to Soaring Sky Pavilion with such thoughts, Su Lingchong's reaction was far beyond Si Haixiao's expectations. You are Si Haixiao? Very good, follow me in the future. Su Lingchong glanced at him and nodded lightly. What? Si Haixiao was momentarily stunned, and his expression immediately turned ugly. This young Master Su must be fucking sick in the head. I'm the manager of the Central Chamber of Commerce, and even someone like Southern Polar Light calls me an old friend. Why would I fight with you for no reason? For a moment, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Kong Ming and the others looked at each other, not daring to make a sound. Young Master Su, it's true that you're the big senior brother in charge of the Soaring Pavilion, but I'm the manager of the North Island branch of the Central Chamber of Commerce. We belong to different branches, and we're not on the same path at all. Don't you think your words are too rude? Si Haixiao said in a low voice. Hee, is that so? Su Lingchong smiled indifferently and suddenly threw out a photo. It was a photo of him and the mysterious man in black, and a handwritten letter was thrown out together with it, which clearly stated that Su Lingchong was appointed as the deputy manager of the North Island Center, and was fully responsible for the affairs of the North Island Center. The deputy manager of the North Island Center? How could this be? Upon seeing this, Si Haixiao was shocked. This was much more powerful than the North Island intelligence group that he was secretly in charge of. However, Su Lingchong's strength was obviously not as high as his. Humph. I have a backer in the center. I am the direct disciple of Master Pao. That is an existence that even the mysterious man in black has to revere. Do you understand now? Su Lingchong saw through the other party's doubts. He said proudly. Master Pao? Si Haixiao was shocked and confused, but he could not refute. He could only lower his head and carefully read the appointment letter in his hand. There was a unique symbol of the center on it. This could not be faked at all. Moreover, he was in charge of intelligence, so it was impossible to get away with it in front of his eyes. In fact, when he saw the photo for the first time, he already believed Su Lingchong. Although the mysterious man in black still did not show his face, his figure and temperament could not be disguised by others. Moreover, Su Lingchong suddenly disappeared and returned. Within a few months, he suddenly became an expert at the middle stage of the Gold Core realm. This matter was full of strangeness. According to common sense, it could not be explained at all. However, if he joined the center, then it could be understood. Yes, Master. Si Haixiao had no choice but to lower his head and say to Su Lingchong helplessly. At the same time, he glanced at Kong Ming. It seemed that this guy was going to be rich in the future. He had found a powerful backer. That's great. I didn't expect Master Su to be one of the top figures in our center. Congratulations, Master Su. Kong Ming saw the situation and quickly flattered him. Zhong Pingliang followed along, but he couldn't help but mutter in his heart. The young master of the Soaring Pavilion had become one of the top figures in the center. Su Lingchong was like a hen turning into a duck in the blink of an eye. Moreover, why did the Master Pao that he mentioned sound a little weird? At this time, Su Lingchong turned his head. His gaze went past Si Haixiao and landed on Murongzhen, who came with him today. This shocked Murongzhen. Greetings, Master Su. I offended Miss Shangguan last time. I apologize to Master Su here. I hope that Master Su will forgive me and let me go, Murongzhen quickly said carefully. Shangguan Laner? Su Lingchong waved his hand indifferently and said faintly, it's just a woman. It doesn't matter. Since you've joined the center, you're one of us. Let's forget about what happened in the past. If it was before his disappearance, he wouldn't have caused trouble for Murongzhen in order to get on Shangguan Laner's good side. But now that he had castrated himself, Shangguan Laner naturally didn't matter anymore. Thank you, Master Su. Murongzhen was overjoyed. She thought that it would be a tragedy for her to run into Su Lingchong's gun. One had to know that other than Shengguan Laner, he was also one of her targets for revenge. She didn't expect Su Lingchong to be so magnanimous and just let it go. In the past, she was angry with him because of hatred. But now, Master Su was not only powerful and had a noble status, but he also had an indescribable temperament of a powerhouse. Although he was a little feminine, he was still the best among men. Murongzhen could not help but feel a ripple in her heart. This young Master Su was so generous to her. Could it be that he had taken a fancy to her beauty? If she could hook up with him, then her future would be much better than following an old pervert like Si Haishao. Master Su, if you don't mind, would you like me to massage your shoulders? I've practiced it before. I'm sure you'll be satisfied. Murongzhen's eyes were like silk and her body was enchanting. She twisted her waist and walked toward Su Lingchong. No need. You don't have to waste your time. I'm not interested in you. Su Lingchong saw through her mind and rejected her coldly. Yes. Murongzhen's face turned red as she stopped walking. Kang Xiaoming and the others were all sneering at her, especially Kang Si Haishao who was glaring at her. This shameless bitch. Chapter 4182. By the way, how is that Meng Tong now? Su Lingchong suddenly asked. Apart from Meng Juiguang who had died long ago, among the forces he cultivated in the Welcome Pavilion, only Meng Tong was not present. 3W, he, has changed a lot during this time. His temperament has changed a lot. It's like he's a completely different person. He usually secludes himself in the cave and rarely comes out. Kang Mingming answered. Well, what about Lin Yi? When I just came back, I heard that you guys were defeated again and again. Su Lingchong changed the topic. He had heard about Lin Yi's strong return and instantly killing Su Zhaohe. He asked this to confirm it. Ugh. Yes. Everyone looked at each other and nodded submissively. They really didn't know what to do with Lin Yi right now. Humph, you bunch of useless trash. Su Lingchong scolded coldly, and then said with a look of disdain, forget it, let's wait for me to do it myself. Wahahaha, with Master Pao's teachings, no matter how that Lin Yi jumps around, he's just a grasshopper after autumn. He's not far from death. Young Master Su is mighty. Kang Mingming quickly took the lead to flatter him. Young Master Su, may I ask who that Master Pao is? Si Haishao asked carefully. He was the highest level among these people, and he specialized in intelligence. However, even he had never heard of such a powerful person like Master Pao in the center. Is this something that a servant like you can ask? Su Lingchong glanced at him with dissatisfaction, but when he saw everyone's curiosity, he could not help but praise. In short, Master Pao is very powerful. He's one of the top figures in our center. I have already cultivated Master Pao's unique divine skill, the Chrysanthemum Treasure Book. Chrysanthemum Treasure Book? Everyone's expression suddenly changed. It was rumored that this was a peerless ancient divine skill. Even the Heaven Stage Island had been extinct for many years. It was said that there was only one sect in the secular world. Until now, there was still an inheritance. Su Lingchong had actually cultivated such a peerless divine skill. But thinking about it carefully, the Central Chamber of Commerce could trade with the secular world, so it wasn't impossible for them to obtain such an unparalleled divine art from the secular world. Pinliang's face was filled with shock as well, but his focus was completely different from the others. Master Pao? Chrysanthemum Treasure Book? Holy shit! This great Pao wouldn't be Zhang Naipeo, would it? Fuck, this kid better not betray us. I was pretending to join the center, but this Zhang Naipeo kid. He seemed to be doing quite well in the center. No, this is important information. I have to think of a way to inform Boss Lin Yi. Master Su, congratulations on your amazing martial arts. From now on, Master Su will definitely be the best among the younger generation of the three pavilions. Kong Mingming quickly flattered, but he was just as surprised as Pinliang was. After all, he knew Zhang Naipeo, Master Pao and the chrysanthemum art were two distinct labels, and any normal person wouldn't be able to help but think about it. Of course, doubts were just doubts. Before actually meeting this Master Pao, everything was just a guess, so he could only temporarily suppress it in his heart. Otherwise, he would really have to say it out in front of everyone. If he guessed correctly, it would be fine, but if he guessed incorrectly, not only would he make a fool out of himself, but he would also anger Master Pao. That wouldn't be worth it. Dominating the three pavilions is only the first step, the path I'm going to take in the future. There's still a long way to go. Su Lingchong smiled proudly. After joining the center, his vision was completely different from before. Originally, young Master Su had wholeheartedly wanted to take over Su Yuanzheng's position and become Shengguan Tianhua's son-in-law, allowing the Su family to rise to the next level. But now, this was already child's play to Su Lingchong. His ambition was far greater than this. With the support of the center, he had power and influence. As long as he advanced step by step, he wouldn't have to worry about not being able to achieve great things. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, everyone, including Si Haishao, fought to be the first to flatter Su Lingchong. They flattered him until he was overjoyed, and only then did they disperse. Right, Zhao Ming, Pinliang, accompany me to Welcome Pavilion. I want to see that brat Meng Tong. Su Lingchong stopped the two of them. He paused for a while and suddenly sneered, I can also go and take a look at Lin Yi. Isn't this guy in the limelight now? I want to see how much he has grown. When he spoke of Lin Yi, Su Lingchong's originally feminine bearing suddenly became even more sinister, and he was like a venomous snake spitting out its scarlet red tongue, causing the hairs of everyone present to unconsciously stand on end. Although joining the center was a blessing in disguise for Su Lingchong, he didn't forget that day when he was wiped off by little curly bear Ka. Almost every time he closed his eyes, he would think of that day, and it was like a nightmare that he couldn't get rid of. And the main culprit that caused all this was Lin Yi, who meddled in other people's business. After that, he was accidentally brought into the center by the mysterious man in black. Speaking of which, he still had to thank Lin Yi, but the way to thank him was naturally to find an opportunity to make him pay with his blood. Yes. Kong Mingming and Zhong Pinliang looked at each other and answered excitedly. Kong Xiaoming led the way in high spirits. He'd been suppressed by Lin Yi for so long, and he'd been given the cold shoulder by the head of the welcoming pavilion, Hu Yunfeng. He was a new deacon who'd lost his backer, and he wasn't what he used to be. Many newcomers didn't take him seriously anymore. But now, with Su Lingchong's strong return, he could finally use Su Lingchong's power to intimidate him again, and he could act cool in the welcome pavilion again. Zhong Pinliang, on the other hand, was pretending to be excited. The only thing on his mind right now was to find an opportunity to leak the information to boss Lin Yi. Zhang Naipeo's matter was very important. The three of them immediately went to the welcome pavilion. Hu Yunfeng, who was one of House Su's people, received the news and quickly came out to welcome them. However, when the group arrived at the Blue Cloud Pavilion's newcomers' cave, they didn't see Lin Yi. According to the reports from the other newcomers in the Blue Cloud Pavilion, Lin Yi had just been called away by Shanghai Laner not long ago. He left with Shangguan Laner. Su Lingchong's face changed when he heard that, but quickly returned to normal. He didn't have any love for Shangguan Laner anymore, just like how he treated Lin Yi. All he had left was anger and bone-deep hatred. Chapter 4183. Forget it. If that's the case, then I'll go check on Meng Tong. Either of you go and keep an eye on him. When you find Lin Yi, or when he comes back, report to me. Su Lingchong paused and said coldly, also, you two go take a good look at him and see if he and Laner are together or not. This, together, wasn't referring to Lin Yi and Laner fooling around together, but to see if the two were in cahoots. This would affect how he would deal with Lin Yi. After all, if they really were together, he would have to worry about Shanghai Tianhua. That. Kong Mingming and Zhong Pingliang looked at each other, obviously unwilling. Today, they came back with Master Su, and this was a chance to show off. Who wouldn't want to show off by Su Lingchong's side? If they were sent to keep an eye on him, then they wouldn't be able to show off anymore. Especially Kong Mingming, he was waiting for this chance to regroup and show off his power as a new deacon. How could he be sent out like this? Being stared at by Su Lingchong like this, Kong Mingming was anxious. He quickly looked at Zhong Pingliang and pretended to cough. Master Su, then why don't I go? Pingliang said, understanding what Lin Yi was implying. The reluctance on his face was an act, of course. He was waiting for this chance to send a message to Lin Yi's boss, but he couldn't appear too enthusiastic. Okay, you go. Su Lingchong nodded indifferently. Kong Mingming was secretly happy and gave Zhong Pingliang a thumbs up. He was very satisfied with Zhong Pingliang's initiative. Although his position was slightly threatened when Su Lingchong went missing, now that Master Su was back, his position naturally rose again. In terms of relationship with Su Lingchong, he was much closer than Zhong Pingliang. But it was rare for Zhong Pingliang to be so tactful. It seemed like he could help him in the future. He could be the scapegoat at the crucial moment. Pingliang turned around and left, chuckling at the same time. Kong Mingming was still counting the money after being sold. If it weren't for him, he wouldn't have gotten the chance to tip off boss Lin Yi. Although Lin Yi was not in the cave residence, he knew Lin Yi very well. Since he was called out by Shanghai Laner, he most likely went to the Grove, which was the place they often played. He sent Pingliang out to keep a lookout. Kong Mingming, on the other hand, continued to follow Su Lingchong. They arrived at the entrance of Meng Tong's cave residence and touched the cave residence's restriction. Young Master Su, you're back. Meng Tong opened the door of the cave abode and saw a group of people waiting in front of him. Especially Su Lingchong, who was the leader, he was immediately shocked. During this period of time, he had been cultivating in seclusion and rarely came out. Everyone outside knew about this rumor. Everyone knew that he had never heard of it. He didn't care about the other Kong Mingming's group, but when he suddenly saw his long-lost backer, it would be strange if he wasn't surprised. Su Lingchong looked at Meng Tong, who seemed to be a different person. His eyes couldn't help but light up, and he was a little surprised. The previous Meng Tong was a complete idiot cannon fodder, but the current Meng Tong. Not only was his strength different from before, but more importantly, his entire image and temperament had become unfathomable. A head of white hair fluttering in the wind. He had a different kind of charm. Su Lingchong's heart moved slightly, and he waved his hand to the people behind him, ordering, Zhao Ming, you guard outside, I'll go in and have a good chat with Meng Tong. After saying that, Su Lingchong took the initiative to pull Meng Tong into the cave abode, and the two of them walked into the cave abode, closing the door and restriction. No one knew what they were going to do in there, leaving only Kong Mingming, Hu Yunfeng, and the rest, looking at each other at the door. At this moment, in the small forest, Lin Yi was sitting together and chatting with Shangguan Laner, while Huang Xiaotao was at the side, playing with the little curly bear. Hee, Little White seems to like playing with Xiaotao recently. Lin Yi couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in surprise. Although this little guy wasn't very shy, other than Shangguan Laner and himself, it rarely took the initiative to get close to others. He didn't expect it to hit it off so well with Huang Xiaotao. It's trying so hard to please senior sister Xiaotao, but it actually has an ulterior motive. Shangguan Laner giggled. Why do you say that? Lin Yi asked curiously. Little White played with senior sister Xiaodao's spirit bird for an afternoon last time, and in the end, he fell in love with the feeling of flying on the bird. He couldn't stop at all, and I had to coax him for a long time before he went to sleep. Shangguan Laner pouted. Oh. Little White is preparing to become a flying knight, and his ambition is great. Lin Yi laughed. It's not a bad thing, at least it's much better than dragging the big scissors around to scare people every day. Since the birthday banquet, when it carelessly killed Su Lingchong, the little curly bear inexplicably fell in love with the big scissors, and it simply couldn't put it down even when it was eating or sleeping. It really gave everyone a headache for a while, but now the little guy's interest had finally shifted. Hee, that's true. Shangguan Laner stuck out her tongue, and suddenly her expression changed. Speaking of this, little junior brother, have you heard that Su Lingchong is back? Yes, I've already heard about this. They said that this young Master Su has changed a lot. He's now a master in the middle phase of the Golden Elixir realm. He's really awesome. Lin Yi nodded as usual. I don't know what Ram Jia is thinking. He actually cancelled his wanted order, and after offending me, he actually let him come back to show off. It's really infuriating. Shangguan Laner said angrily. Cancelling the wanted order, this is Ram Jia's own decision. Isn't it Su Yuanzheng or other higher-ups who are pressuring him? Lin Yi's heart moved. The rumors in the streets were all Su Yuanzheng's work, but if it was Ram Jia's initiative, then the meaning revealed in this was a bit thought-provoking. I don't know about this, but the Silent Gourd is the law enforcement hall master. If he didn't agree, no matter what other people do, there is definitely no way to cancel the wanted order, this is certain. Although Shangguan Laner never cared about these things, but she was influenced by what she saw and heard, she was also clear about the knack of this. Is it really Ram Jia's initiative to nod? Lin Yi thoughtfully pinched his chin. He had also dealt with Ram Jia before. According to his understanding, this person was extremely arrogant and confident. If he was not willing, even God would not be able to make him bow down. Who knows, the most important problem now is that Su Lingchong, that guy, came back aggressively this time. He definitely has bad intentions towards you, little junior brother. Shangguan Laner said with a worried face. Chapter 4184. Although Su Lingchong's sudden return had indeed surprised him, but now things were different. With his current strength, this young Master Su could no longer pose a fatal threat to him. But, Su Xiaohe is only at the early stage of Gold Core, and Su Lingchong is a middle stage Gold Core Master? Shanghai Laner couldn't help but remind him. Don't worry, it's fine. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Although he was only at the early stage of Gold Core, he was the strongest Gold Core Master who had a perfect breakthrough. Even if he was facing a middle stage Gold Core Master, it was not a problem. Even if he couldn't kill him in one move, suppressing the opponent was not a problem. He had this confidence. Then, little junior brother, you have to be careful. I have seen Su Lingchong from afar before, and I feel that this guy is indeed different from before. From afar, he has an indescribable evil aura, and I always feel that he is neither yin nor yang. Moreover, he has been back for so many days, but he hasn't come to harass me. Shanghai Laner blinked her big eyes and said. If it was the previous Su Lingchong, no matter what, he would come to pester her every 2 to 3 days. Now that he was ignoring her like this, it was as if the sun rose from the west. You can't blame Su Lingchong for this matter. The source is Little White. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile. Su Lingchong had been killed. If he could be masculine, then he would really see a ghost. As the two were talking, Zhong Pingliang rushed in from the forest path far away, winking at Lin Yi from afar. Lin Yi saw it and knew that something had happened. He told Shanghai Laner and quickly walked over. Boss Lin Yi, this is bad. Zhong Pingliang said in shock. What's wrong? Lin Yi looked at him in surprise. Su Lingchong is back. He has become a middle-stage gold core master. He is unprecedentedly strong. And his entire temperament has changed. Zhong Pingliang reported. Yes. I already know this. Little senior sister also told me just now. Lin Yi nodded, still calm as usual. No, it's like this. I just heard it from his own mouth. He's now the vice manager of the North Island, and he's practicing the chrysanthemum art. The one who taught him this art is a high-ranking member of the North Island, Master Pao. Pinliang told Lin Yi everything he'd heard and seen. What? Chrysanthemum treasure book? Master Pao? After listening, Lin Yi's expression became a little strange. Seeing Lin Yi's expression, Pinliang knew that he was thinking the same thing. Boss Lin Yi, this Master Pao you're talking about isn't that Pao kid, is it? Well, it's hard to say. Lin Yi frowned, you know Naipeo the best. Are you sure it's him? I guess so. Pinliang nodded heavily and gritted his teeth, but this kid better not betray us. Fuck, if he dares to, I'll kill him myself. Yes, we can't verify this for now. Let's wait and see. Just keep an eye on Su Lingchong, Lin Yi thought about it. Suddenly hearing this news, he felt that things seemed to have become a little complicated. This mysterious and unpredictable center. What kind of god was it? Why did the Middle Island and the North Island have them, and they were all so powerful? Back in the common world, Lin Yi had heard of the center's name. Jiang Wen seemed to be with them. Elder Xianchen also worked with the center, but there were only a few biohumans at that time. They didn't pay too much attention to it. How did they come to Sky Island now? How did the center become so powerful? Were the center of the common world and the center of Sky Island the same people, or was it just a coincidence of names and they had nothing to do with each other? If the two centers were the same, then they would be able to extend their tentacles into the secular world and Heaven Stage Island at the same time. Then this mysterious central force would truly be a bit shocking. Alright, I'll listen to you, boss. Right, Su Lingchong is at the Welcome Pavilion now. He wanted to see you, but you weren't there, so he sent me out to keep watch. What do you plan to do, boss? Do you want to go back and meet him, or just ignore him? I'll just say that I didn't find you, Pinliang said. No need, I'll go back and meet him. Lin Yi smiled faintly, to be honest, I'm a little curious about what this Master Su has become. After saying that, Lin Yi turned to say goodbye to Shengguan Lan'er and Huang Xiaotao, and immediately followed Zhong Pingliang back to the welcoming pavilion. The door to the welcome pavilion opened again, and Su Lingchong and Meng Tong walked out with smiles on their faces, one on the left and the other on the right, walking side by side. This is my partner from now on, you guys have to call him Meng bro. Su Lingchong instructed Kong Ming Ming and the others. Kong Ming Ming was stunned, and Pinliang came back at that moment. He couldn't help but grin when he saw the scene. No matter how he looked at the relationship between these two, something didn't seem right. It was a little weird, wasn't it? Speaking of which, when did Master Su become so courteous? Although Meng Tong had become more unfathomable than before, he couldn't be compared to Si Haishao in terms of strength or status. Master Su didn't even care about Si Haishao before, so why was he so nice to Meng Tong? And he even called him Meng bro? Meng Tong was just a small cannon fodder in the past. When did his status become so high that he could step on their heads? How is it? Where's Lin Yi? Su Lingchong stood side by side with Meng Tong, ignoring everyone's weird expressions as he turned to Pinliang and asked. I saw him walking this way just now, he should be back. Pinliang nodded. Okay, let's go take a look. Su Lingchong's lips curled into a cold smile as he immediately led everyone towards Lin Yi's cave. At the entrance of the cave, Su Lingchong and the others just happened to meet Lin Yi, who came back specially. Looking at Lin Yi, who seemed to have been reborn, Su Lingchong's cold and vicious eyes couldn't help but focus slightly. Lin Yi looked him up and down, also a little surprised. With a body full of evil aura, Su Lingchong's current temperament was neither yin nor yang, but it was especially compatible with Meng Tong, who was standing beside him with the same temperament. Both sides met, and before they spoke, Su Lingchong's cold aura suddenly became ferocious and violent. The powerful aura of a middle-stage Golden Core master poured out without holding back, like a sudden eruption of a mountain torrent, pressing down on Lin Yi's head. Lin Yi's side also didn't want to be outdone, his aura also increased greatly. Although he was only at the early stage of Golden Core, 2 levels lower than Su Lingchong, but facing Su Lingchong's overbearing pressure, he didn't move and didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. Chapter 4185. As for the other newcomers present, with their mere foundation establishment stage strength, standing here was simply like a small boat in a monstrous wave, swaying unsteadily, with the possibility of capsizing at any time. This was still Su Lingchong and Lin Yi, both focusing their attention on each other. Otherwise, if they were to switch targets, these ordinary newcomers would probably be directly crushed by the imposing manner. People only need to look at you once, and you will fall to the ground by yourself. They were all newcomers, but this was the difference between them and Lin Yi. Both sides confronted each other, and for a moment, the entire welcoming pavilion seemed to have the momentum of a coming storm. Perhaps the weather was just a coincidence, but at this moment, everyone's heart already felt a heavy pressure, especially to the surrounding ordinary newcomers. It was like the déjà vu of mortals suffering in a battle between immortals. However, although the imposing manner of both sides confronted each other tensely, regardless of whether it was Su Lingchong or Lin Yi, neither of them had the intention to make a move. Lin Yi needn't be mentioned, and although Su Lingchong wanted to kill Lin Yi, he couldn't attack Lin Yi without a reason, or else he would be arrested by the law enforcement hall and punished in public. Lin Yi, this young master heard that you seem to be very arrogant recently. Su Lingchong suddenly curled his lips and smiled coldly. Hee, Senior Su, you flatter me. I'm just living my life, but I can't stand some people who don't have eyes. They always send themselves to be abused, so I can only reluctantly do it, Lin Yi replied indifferently. Very good, since you are already a Golden Core initial stage expert, it is rare for a newcomer to have such a performance, it is worthy of praise. Su Lingchong didn't seem to hear the mockery in Lin Yi's words, and instead suggested, this young master can make the decision to make an exception and recruit you as an official disciple of the Soaring Sky Pavilion. Are you willing? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people immediately went into an uproar. The Soaring Sky Pavilion was the most powerful among the 3 pavilions, this was without a doubt, and regardless of resources or status, it was a lot higher than the other 2 pavilions. Under normal circumstances, any Profound Secrets Pavilion or Clear Cloud Pavilion disciple who had the chance to join the Soaring Sky Pavilion was a dream come true. Su Lingchong, as the eldest senior brother in charge of the Soaring Sky Pavilion and the grandson of the 3rd elder of the Soaring Sky Pavilion, Su Yuanzheng, did indeed have such authority in his hands. As long as there was a suitable reason, it was not too difficult for him to get someone to join the Soaring Sky Pavilion. I'm not willing. Lin Yi's answer was concise and clear, causing the surrounding people to be taken aback. Huh? Su Lingchong was immediately stunned. The reason why he suddenly made this suggestion was because actually, his ultimate goal was to teach Lin Yi a lesson. After all, with his current identity, he was one of the representatives of Soaring Sky Pavilion. It was simply inconvenient for him to make a move against Lin Yi. Moreover, if he wanted to challenge Lin Yi like Su Zhaohe before, he would not have an official reason to do so. After all, he could not make the matter of his self-castration public. However, if he could get Lin Yi into the Soaring Sky Pavilion, then as the eldest senior brother in charge of the Soaring Sky Pavilion, it would be a piece of cake for him. At that time, it would be a piece of cake for him to pinch and flatten, and Lin Yi wouldn't be able to escape from his palms. However, he did not expect that. Lin Yi rejected it without hesitation. Could it be that this guy had seen through his intentions? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you reject it now, this road will be blocked by you. Don't even think about entering the Soaring Sky Pavilion in the future. Have you thought it through? Su Lingchong was still unwilling to give up. I'll just stay here. It's pretty good. Senior brother Su, you don't have to worry about me. Lin Yi was stubborn. He looked Su Lingchong up and down and then said with a playful expression, Senior brother Su, it's great to see that you're fine. However, Lin Yi's laughter was baffling to the bystanders, but Su Lingchong was well aware of it. Motherfucker, this kid was laughing at him for losing his family jewels. What are you laughing at? Su Lingchong was instantly pissed off by his laughter. He said furiously, if you laugh again, believe it or not, this young master will kill you right now. You control the heavens and the earth, and you still care whether I laugh or not? The authority of the Soaring Sky Pavilion's eldest senior brother in charge isn't so exaggerated, right? Lin Yi looked at him mischievously. Lin Yi, you have guts. You better be careful. Don't let this young master get hold of you. Su Lingchong was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. However, he could not make a move against Lin Yi. He could only turn around and leave with a gloomy face. He really did not expect that Lin Yi, this fellow, was actually not afraid in the slightest when facing the current him. Looks like this kid is not as easy to deal with as I imagined. I have to plan properly in the future. Lin Yi and Shengguan Laner, these two must pay the price. As he looked at Su Lingchong's disappearing figure, the corners of Lin Yi's mouth slightly curled. He has come with ill intentions. Since this fellow has returned, then he will surely look for trouble with me. I really have to be careful in the future. In the following period of time, Lin Yi rarely went out, and he cultivated behind closed doors within his own abode every day. Originally, he had already faintly touched the barrier of the peak of the initial stage of the Golden Core realm, and he originally thought that he would be able to break through in one go. However, he didn't know why he seemed to have encountered a bottleneck. He was obviously only left with the last small step, yet he was unable to cross it all along, and he didn't know where the problem was. Besides this, another matter caused Lin Yi to be rather surprised. Su Lingchong actually didn't come looking for trouble with him. During this period of time, Su Lingchong continuously attended various occasions, and he once again became the big senior brother in charge of the Soaring Sky Pavilion, and his power and status gradually stabilized. However, the only thing he didn't go looking for trouble with Lin Yi. What was even more strange was that no matter where Su Lingchong went, he always brought Meng Tong with him, and the two of them were actually inseparable like glue. It even caused Kong Mingming to feel jealous in his heart. He had always considered himself to be Su Lingchong's #1 underling. Now, the trust and importance that Meng Tong obtained were obviously far above Kong Mingming, and what made him even more unhappy and bewildered was that Su Lingchong still insisted that they must call Meng Tong as Brother Meng. To treat Meng Tong, they must be at his beck and call with the utmost respect, just like how they treated him, young Master Su. Damn it, this is simply acknowledging an ancestor. What bewitching soup did this fellow Meng Tong feed to young Master Su, to actually be so good to him? This is too good. Moreover, the relationship between the two of them that was inseparable like glue, in the eyes of Kong Mingming, it was not at all like ordinary friends, or as simple as a superior and subordinate. The feeling it gave others was more like a pair of intimate lovers. Lovers? As soon as this strange thought emerged, it gave Kong Mingming a fright, and the more he thought about it, the stranger he felt. However, he didn't dare to ask much, and could only continue to serve Su Lingchong with a shudder. Kong Xiaoming wasn't the only one who had this suspicion. Everyone else who was close to Su Lingchong had the same question. Two grown men suddenly becoming so close to each other. This relationship was clearly beyond friendship. It was hard not to be suspicious. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.